Warning. All stories could be completely made up, and we have no way to confirm that. Any and all names mentioned in the show are most likely fake. We at Campfire Moto Stories are not journalists and should not be considered as much. If you're offended by anything said or shown in this episode, we don't care, but we encourage you to voice your opinion so we can laugh at the fact that you can't control your emotions. This program contains full language, and I recommend no one to watch or listen to this.
The views and opinions expressed in the program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the sponsor, any advertisers, or the sponsor's affiliates, employees, or partners.
Coming to you live from the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia, it's Campfire Moto Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to Campfire Moto Stories. I'm Anthony Bennett, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today for our live show. This YouTube show / podcast is all about sharing amazing motorcycle stories from everyday riders like you. Whether it's an epic ride, a funny mishap, or an unforgettable adventure, we want to hear it all. Today, we have some fantastic guests in the studio who we'll introduce in just a moment, where we'll dive into their riding stories. Plus, we have exciting segments lined up, including pre-recorded interviews, Billy's tech tips, spotlight a stolen bike, and stories sent in by you through the website and or phone line. At 8:30 sharp, we'll open the phone lines and give our live viewers a chance to call in and share their own motorcycle stories. Lastly, you'll get to hear an awesome story from my 5-year-old son about riding. May or may not be completely made up. But hey, 5-year-old can tell a great story, so can you. Don't forget, you can earn entries into our YZ250 giveaway by participating in the show. Check out campfiremotostories.com for all the official rules. And by participating in any way, shape, or form, you indicate that you've read the official rules and agree to our terms and condition. Let's get it started.
Another lap around the wall, another request, another call. All I hear is need, I can't reply to all. I feel the strain, I fall behind, I sacrifice my precious time. All I ever get is everything that's true.
Hey, welcome to the show. It's episode 8, season 1 of Campfire Moto Stories. Now my good buddy in, Kris Turner, well-known road racer, cool motocross dude. And I don't know how much you've watched the show, but I always start off with a icebreaker in case my guests are a little nervous. And so I made the mistake earlier of showing the pic that I'm going to show for this, but right here's our icebreaker. So here's the day Kris Turner and I met, October 3rd, 2010, where I waxed his ass at Calhoun Motocross. What, you got anything to add to that?
Don't ever let this guy beat you, ever, one time. You'll never hear the end of it.
It's honestly our only time we've even raced before. Yeah. But it was really funny because I don't think you even know this. And this is because when I was gathering the stuff about your history and stuff, this is how I know one of the things we'll get into in a second. But I was working at Married to Motorsports at the time. Mm-hmm. So I came back and Skip Salinas was working there with me and was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, I was up at Calhoun this last Saturday and this one dude was just giving me the business. And I think it was probably plus 25 class, or was it open A?
Probably open A.
Okay. So, cause yeah, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't 25 then. Yeah.
All right. So I was like, dude, this guy's just all over my ass. And I did everything I could to block insides for it. And he's like, who was it? That. And he's like, I said, Kris Turner. He's like, oh yeah, he's out of Chattanooga. He's a badass road racer. He's like, he's really cool story. He was adopted and all this other stuff. So that kind of leads into the first thing I wanted to get into with you. So yeah, like you mentioned about how you were adopted and you believe if you weren't adopted, you would have not led down the path of motorcycle racing. So I was hoping to get into that with you. So get us back to that story of how that got you into that path.
Man, it's pretty simple, man. I have the same path that any, racer at my level has, really. I started riding right at late 3 years old, almost 4. Started racing around 5, but I mean, like, if you look at my biological family, nobody there has any motorcycling history at all. Nothing like that. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't. I've seen them try to ride bicycles before. It's completely different, right? Yeah. And it's all in that upbringing, Like the person that I call my dad the one that adopted me, he's the one that got me into the motorcycles at a young age and just kind of took off from the very beginning.
So you actually do know members or most of your biological family?
Yeah.
And are they out of the Chattanooga area as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good bit of them. Yeah.
So what led to the adoption and all that kind of stuff? If you don't want to get into it, that's understandable too.
It's a deep question, for sure.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't even really know the whole entire story, to be just perfectly honest. But I was the third of three. And by the time I was born, the other two had already been taken somewhere else. So, by the time I came around, it's been since birth, basically.
Okay.
I don't remember any of it. It was all before 18 months old. I was full-time with who I ended up calling my parents,
Yeah. And honestly, on my family side, on my dad's side, one of his brothers couldn't have kids, so he went into the adoption side. And it's really interesting to see the path of where they came from, the family they would have been with, and where they're at now.
Exactly.
And it's really cool just to see almost like the nurture versus nature kind of aspect of it. Because one of them is, he actually was a crack baby, unfortunately, and he's just killing it.
Yeah.
Doing all kinds of just amazing stuff in his life. So, and I kind of wanted to touch that just in case somehow some kid, this got to him and he was going through the same path to lift him up and
Absolutely.
know that, and listen to your story to be inspired that hey, no matter what your past, you can always also push through it kind of stuff.
I've never seen it as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Never seen it. I've always seen it as what ended up giving me opportunities in life.
Yeah. No, that's cool to hear. So you mentioned about starting at motocross at 3 years old. So that was something that I wanted to touch base on next. What bike did you start with?
So I had a little Suzuki 50 four-wheeler, one of those orange ones with the gold rims that everybody had. That's what I started out on. I was 3, and it got stolen. And then right before my 4th birthday, ended up with a little Suzuki JR50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the, what was it, LT50, if it was a Suzuki then, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Actually, I think that's the same motor even as the JR50. So I guess motor-wise, it would have felt the same to you kind of thing. Yeah, if I had to guess, I would have said PW50 because that's almost where everybody.
That's what everyone else went.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I can't remember, had been 2nd grade or whatever. I think my dad got a JR80 in on trade, and I was like, let me ride that thing, and just totally destroyed myself. So I've always for whatever reason, the JRs to me, I'm like, F those bikes.
I still have my first bike. I still got my JR50.
No way.
Yeah, it's over at my dad's.
I don't know if you noticed the P-Dub that's in my garage downstairs, right?
I did, yeah.
So the minute that we found out my wife was pregnant with our son, I just put a notice in for PW50s on Facebook Marketplace to notify me. And I was just looking for the deal, the best one, right? And a year and a half later, he's about 9 months old. She's actually studying for her master's degree upstairs, had an online class at night. And I was like, I found a deal. I'm going to get it right now. And she's like, I'm fucking doing schoolwork. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to get it. It was a $900 2017 Cherry.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And I wanted that because no matter what, I plan to keep it. But I wasn't going to sink $2,000 into a bike that I'm going to keep forever. So the $900 one. So that's really awesome to hear that you still have that bike. Actually, one of my buddies, A3, just recently got his original PW back.
Nice.
His parents sold it to some neighbor for their kid. They had it for a while and shoved it in the corner of their barn, and he just got it back for free. So that's one of those super cool things that you can get back as a kid.
There's a few bikes that I want back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can think of quite a few too. Yeah. And there's a lot of them that you don't want back, and you're glad they're gone. Maybe a Triumph. We'll get to that later.
I didn't say it.
All right. So share me some stories from back in the 65 days. Is this SEMRA and WERA?
Oh, that would be after.
Okay, so no. So 65 days first. What is the other one I tried to say? SEMRA?
SEMRA. Yeah.
All right, so that's road racing.
That's when I started road racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hit on the 65.
Okay.
I bunched it together.
That's kind of where I hit my stride. Back in early 2000s when the 65s first came out, there were. I think I got a 2002 was my first one, so it was pretty early when they came out. But I was scared of riding motocross at that time. I didn't jump anything. I wasn't fast at all, and just I don't know, it just clicked one day. I started jumping stuff. Like I hit a double at Tunnel Hill. The first real double I ever hit, and landed, went through the next turn and hit another double. And like just from there out, it just got bigger. Did you ever go to Diamondback?
I never got to ride Diamondback. One of the first tracks I rode when I moved to Georgia in 07 was Tunnel Hill.
Okay, yeah.
And funny enough, that's the first motocross track my wife rode.
Nice.
Tunnel Hill.
There you go. Yeah. Got a lot of memories there.
Yeah.
Diamondback was big though, like 80 to 100 foot jumps everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I got on a 65 and got where I could hit everything there. And back then that was unheard of. You see kids doing it now, you know, they're hitting the triples at Supercross and stuff. But back then it was unheard of. And just, I don't know, in a span of 2 or 3 years, we started trying to go to Loretta's, hitting all the qualifiers, the regionals, and it never really worked out my way. I can remember a time we went to Texas for a regional, and I can't remember everybody was there, but looking back, it was like Eli Tomac, Blake Baggett, Jason Anderson, I want to say was there, Michael Lieb was there, like bunch of freaking fast kids. Yeah. Friday practice day, I was the fastest kid there. Nobody there could hang with me. There was the finish line. Sorry, finish line was a triple. First practice session, my dad pulls me over on the side of the track. He's like, "Hey man, why aren't you hitting that triple over there? Everyone else here is doing it." So, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go out and hit it real quick. Cool. So I cut the track, come back around and hit it. I came up short, but you know, it's fourth gear on a 65. It's all she had, you know. And I was getting the checkered flag at that time. I come into the pits and everybody comes running over to me. He's like, "Man, you're the first one on a 60 to hit that triple." I was like, "Man, yeah." But yeah, all day Friday, I was the dude. And then I woke up Saturday, I got the whole shot in the first moto, went down first turn or second turn or something. Mm-hmm. It went down like 3 times in the first lap.
I think you said it. What track was that again?
It was in Texarkana. I don't remember what the track was, but yeah, it was in Texarkana, Texas. But like for me, looking back, I think that was kind of the end of my motocross career.
Like coming short on that, or first
just
turn
that,
fall,
just that whole weekend, you know. Like I showed up Friday thinking, okay, this is it. We're going to make it happen. And then it came up so short on Saturday. Didn't qualify, you know? And that kind of tore at me a little bit. And then I'm trying to get all the timeline right, but there was a race, Lazy River. I got knocked out on the start on Saturday. And then turned around on Sunday and got knocked out again. I landed on a kid. Yeah. And I think that was really like, my dad at that point was like, okay, this is enough, you know?
Well, if you're on 65s, how old would you have been at that time? 10?
It would have been 04. I was 11, 12 years old.
I didn't realize you were that much younger than me.
Yeah.
I graduated in 04.
Oh, man. I graduated in 10. Yeah.
Wait. So
that's why you guys were gray up there.
Oh, yeah. Well, the kids. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
Actually, yeah.
I know that one.
Too. You got more than me. No, that's funny if you think about it then. So you were a senior when we first raced together.
Yeah.
That was 2010 then.
Yep.
That's funny. Damn.
Yep.
What's really funny about us is we've connected to that race and we like Facebook friend each other. Mm-hmm. We'll comment, talk shit on each other every now and then just randomly. And other than the Sorks race, actually the Sorks race where I blew my knee out last year, I forget what I said. I think I asked for a massage before the race or made some comment to you about that. And you were like, come by the trailer. Yeah. So I literally rode by on my e-bike because I saw you pass me and was like, hey, I'm here for that massage. And you're like, what's up, dude? So that's like one of the, besides today, one of the first like actual interactions that we've had other than like social media. So it's kind of weird where people will bash on social media and stuff, but we've had a friendship because of that, with actually being able to hang out with each other. So like even when you walked in the driveway today when you got here, it was almost like old friends getting to hang out again.
The first thing I did was go behind your garage and pee.
And I offered you tweezers in case you needed them.
Yeah.
All right, so I think there were some other moto stories, like memorable moments that you wanted to talk about though before we switch subjects and get into the road racing stuff. So you want to touch kind of on like Matt Shue and Stewart and Pastrana and stuff?
I have a lot of stories from when I was a kid. Like, I mean, I think I told you, I'm just an avid fan of racing in general.
Yep.
And like the things that stuck out to me was I saw James Stewart at Lazy River. He was 15, 16, right before he turned pro. Like doing stuff on an old KX 125 that people wouldn't do today on a 450.
Oh yeah.
Or watching Pastrana at Kilpatrick on the 125 right before he went pro, and he's doing hill clickers over every jump because he's a lap and a half ahead of everybody, you know? Yeah, I mean, Matt Shue, that was cool. I was sitting on the gate at CMX, and this was
CMX. Oh, Chattanooga Motocross.
Yeah, Chattanooga Motocross. Yeah, way back in the day. Whack when it went up on the side of the hill, it came down. It made a 90 left, a 180 right, and then a 90 left. And he was jumping from berm to berm, cutting the whole section off. But like, he's so high up. That doesn't
sound like Matt Shue at all. Right? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, he's so high up in the air. He's like even with the power lines, you know, and like being a little kid on a 60 sitting on the gate, I always thought that was real cool. Actually, years later, it would have been, I think, 2016, 17, somewhere around that time. I went to Chad Ward's place, his supercross track over there when he had the Atlanta replica.
All right.
You know? Yeah.
I've got a funny thing I want to touch on that too, because before you get into that story, so that was right before the Atlanta Supercross Amateur Day thing. Mm-hmm. Is that why you went there too?
That's why I went.
And they built the replica one. So my buddy Brandon Thompson, Matt Shue, and I, well, Brandon and I took off work. Matt, I don't think needed to. No. But we took off work on like a Wednesday, went out to Ward's place. It was a soup. Like the front straightaway was just absolutely mud. Yeah. And we went out there and rode it, and whoever built it, I don't know if, hopefully they don't listen to this, or I don't know who did it, but
scaling was way off.
It was so off. And even Shue, who's raced many supercrosses, what did he get? 6th place at 2000?
He podiumed somewhere, didn't he? I think Daytona at some time, or Atlanta. I don't remember.
Maybe. Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna have him on soon, so
I'm gonna
figure
Google
that
it later.
But so he went there with us and was like, I don't know. So we tried a few of the jumps, and we were like, this is sketchy. So, and he jumped the finish line, which was a massive finish line.
Yeah,
he tried going through the whoops. Like, dude, we felt like little girls. And it made us feel a little bit better that he was like, no, something's off with this, right? So a week later or whatever, maybe even a few days later, I see on your social media a video of your ass jumping a jump that Shue wouldn't do and break your collarbone. And I was like, that's fucking idiot. So it's I forgot to write that down, but I wanted to touch base on that one.
Yeah, so I went.
So walk me through that day.
I actually went to the track with Cameron Stone, who had also done a lot of supercrosses at that point. And a good buddy of mine, Matt Harvey, was there too. But yeah, I don't know. You like go through that right-hander, and there's a roller, and everybody else was like rolling the roller, and then rolling that first single, and then doubling. And then I think there was like the rhythm they were doing, it put you where you were singling into that triple, right? So I figured out if you wheelie over that roller and just stomp the pegs and hit that first double off that first single, it's double, double, double straight into the triple. It's smoother. It's easier to hit the triple that way, right?
Yeah.
Until it wasn't, you know. And I went up to face one time.
Everything works really right.
Yeah, no, I did it 4 or 5 times, and everyone was like, "That's not going to work. You're going to get that's you know." And then I went up the face one time and spun the rear tire, and up the face, I was like, "This is it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
really
funny.
I was laying in the middle I separated my shoulder. I'm laying in the middle of the track, like just seconds away from puking. And Matt Shue is the first one that comes over to me, and he's standing over me going, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. My shoulder hurts." He was like, "Why were you doing that?" Then we get back to the truck, and my boy Harvey's putting his helmet back. I'm like, "Dude, I gotta go to the hospital." He's like, "Ride one more." Yeah, go ride one more time.
Which is real funny because that helmet there is a Shue incident of the same thing that's destroyed. Because there was I don't think I've told the story on this. Maybe I did, but at Highland Park there was a set of whoops, 5 of them in a row.
Was this when he built the track?
Yes,
that makes it better.
And there was a little bit of lip, I think, on the left side, and I like going through the whoops were like really rockering, and it just wasn't comfy. And I was like, "Shue, can I just jump all 5 of them?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've done it. James Fawcett's done it. He didn't do them very clean." He's like, "But he's C class. You're good. You can do it." So yeah, I 4 3/4 them, and just. But where I made the mistake is I panic revved in the air. So as soon as I landed on the transition of the 4th one, it just shot me into the 5th one and ejecto-ceto cuzzed me. Like 3. Yeah. So I like almost bit my tongue off. And I don't want to tell the rest of the story because if I get Austin Guest on, he does a perfect impersonation of what I said and what I did. But yeah, that's always been because the one of the biggest jokes about Matt Shue if he talks you into doing a jump and you totally wad up, which he didn't do in your case, but kind of
he told me not to do it.
Yeah, but is you got shoed.
Oh,
So
okay.
That's always been you got shoed on
like
that one.
it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Have you ever got to do any good road trips with Matt?
Mm-mm.
He's quirky and fun to mess with.
Is he?
Yes.
I could see that, man. I got talked to him quite a bit when I was a kid, but it's a different, you're a kid. It's different,
What's funny is I remember he was one of the first like ex-pro guys when I first moved up. I was like, that's Matt Shue. And I got to be like buddies with him. I was like, this is so cool.
Oh man, I grew up watching him and Chris Swaney and Tony Graham, all those guys just throwing down every Saturday.
I didn't realize,
it seemed
so
like.
Chris Swaney was on that same kind of level?
He was fast, man.
Okay, because
he was real fast.
That makes me feel a little bit better because almost every single vet race I've done where he's at, he waxes my ass.
I don't know that he was.
Who is this dude?
I don't know that he was Matt Shue level, but he did some Supercross stuff. And yeah,
I mean, if you're qualifying
Saturday night races, they're right there. Yeah, good stuff.
That's funny. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered like his background. I never looked into it, but I was always like, this dude can freaking roll.
No, actually, when I was a kid, I'd go to his house. There was a period I'd go to his house every Wednesday night. He had tracks there and stuff, and he was like the dude training me at one point. He was telling me all the same stuff my dad was telling me, but
I would listen to him. Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly like we should for kids for riding. We should switch who's telling kids what since we're close to the same age. Yeah. All right, so what's one of the next things we got into? So you talked about the Stewart and Pastrana thing. I think the next one gets more into the road racing side of things. But why don't we go into some fun stuff of some pictures we have?
Oh boy,
that we've got. We set up some pictures to tell some stories about some things. So which one we want to get into first? So this was a funny picture. I was like, hey, what's this one about? And I was like, hey, tell me about this thing. And you said, oh, I got a funny one for it. All right, so explain who this is, what happened here.
That's my boy Poe, man. His name's Brad. We call him Poe. He was like 13 years old, and I told him he looked like a panda. And then like 6 months later, Kung Fu Panda came out, so he's been labeled Poe ever since. But no, he was my dude. I would just, every time I'd go to a Saturday night motocross track or whatever, I would just take him with me to kind of help out, hang out with me, This was at CMX one night. This was like, I went out for practice. This was very early into the evening. He opened up the passenger door, the box fan, you can see it in the background, and a flip-flop, something, a shoe of some sort fell out. He reached down to get it, and the door swung back closed, and whenever he stood up, he hit his head on the bottom of that like chrome metal mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Sliced the top of his head open. He ended up going to the hospital, getting a bunch of staples in, but like you can see in that picture, he was bleeding so much that they kicked him out of the ambulance, right? So whenever he did that...
Hold on, they can kick you out of the ambulance because you're bleeding too much?
Yeah, they were like, get out of here. We're going to have to clean that up. They made him get out of the ambulance so he could bleed on the ground, But like, I'm in the...
Seems counterproductive.
I'm in the back of the box fan trying to get ready to go out for practice when this happens. And he comes around, I mean, the whole side of his face covered in blood, the whole chest and everything. And he looks at me, he's like, am I bleeding? And I was like, a little bit. Yeah, the ambulance is over there. Yeah.
My buddy Joe is supposed to come by and pick some stuff up later. I have a very similar story to that, and I hope that he pops in because we're going to reference this kind of thing. Because I don't think we touched on it for when he came into the studio. All right, so what's another good one we'll get into? Well, let's start into the road racing stuff. So at 13, switched to road racing. Tell me how that kind of came about. Who got you into it? What made you want to go down that path?
It's funny how close it was that I never even went road racing to begin with. After a couple concussions, bunch of injuries and stuff, we kind of decided to go a different path, and I was actually real close into getting into go-kart racing. And we were at a somewhat local go-kart race, just kind of walking around, checking it out, looking at different carts that were for sale and stuff. And my dad kind of mentioned, hey, I found this thing called SEMRA where we can take your YZ85 that I had at the time and put 17s on it, put slicks on it, and go race on go-kart tracks, like sprint tracks, you know? He was like, you think give that a shot instead of the go-karts? I was like, we can try that out for a year and see where it goes, you know? And then,
a year.
yeah. That year, the first race I did, I got lapped. And then the last race I did, I wrapped up the GP85 championship. Like,
no shit.
It all moved that quick. Yeah, the second race, I was like half a lap behind. And third race, I was like right there on him. Like, it all just clicked really fast.
Kind of like you felt like when you first hit the first double,
yeah,
and everything else clicked after
thing.
that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. You've probably seen this with your kids too, how you'll see they're almost on that verge of something clicking, and it's really cool and rewarding to get to see it when it finally...
You see them overcome that mental obstacle.
Yes. Yeah. And I've got to see it a lot recently with him riding more of a dirt bike kind of thing.
He's getting to that age, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even just from you'll see him with whatever it is kind of coming up where you're like, he's almost got it, almost there, you know, or just needs a little push.
Yeah.
But there's that fine line of pushing too much, too.
Right, yeah. It's like my oldest one, he's 10. He's got a TTR 110. A year ago, he would barely ride it. He was terrified of it. Now he scares me. Because he's going faster than what his experience is good for. You know, his form's a little bit off here and there. He's but like he's pushing it now.
Yeah,
it's fun.
You know, it's funny you say that. That just triggered memory a few weeks ago with my kid riding, and with me, I'm fine because I honestly, he's pushing what he can do, but I want him to crash to learn that boundary.
Right. Yeah.
And my wife's more like, try to pull him back so he doesn't do it. And I'm more like, no, let him do it. So that
it's better to know where that edge is.
Yeah, where the edge is, exactly. Because you have to have respect for it. You know what? I actually jumped around too much because I said we're going to get into pictures, and we just did the one. I got a few more funny ones that I want to hit on. So,
let's do it.
All right, we're going to jump back to the road racing a little bit. ADD kicked in, and I went into the next one. So I wanted to talk about this one here. All right, so this one is pretty funny. What track is this, and who are you with?
That is at Battle Creek MX. That track doesn't exist anymore. I think it's on the Georgia side, I believe. It's right outside Chattanooga, though. That is Cameron Stone on the front and me on the back.
All right, and if I'm looking at the picture correctly, whoever's you're on the back, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's on the back is feet on the pegs, and they're doing the no-hander, and whoever's in the front is hands on the bars doing the no-footer, right?
Yeah, that was his idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw this picture, and I got jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. My buddy Josh, I showed him this picture, and I was like, hey, man, we need to do this picture. Yeah. And it took me a little bit because I couldn't figure out. It looked like the person on the back is doing both no hands and no footer.
That's what we're going for.
So it took us,
nothing.
and I said, no, dude, I think they're doing it the way that I just said. So this is he and I at Monster Mountain attempting to do the same thing. Now, there was other pictures. This was the only one, unfortunately, I could find, but it was a much smaller double trying to attempt to do it. So I just wanted to let you know that at one point you inspired me to try to do the same, to duplicate that picture that you had done. So,
dude, me and Stone, I don't know if you can see in that picture, but we're actually wearing leathers.
All right, I'm
wearing my M4 Suzuki leathers in that picture.
I was gonna say it looked like.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Change the camera so the people watching.
You can see the Barrick logo on my butt there, the tramp stamp. Yeah.
But he's actually wearing Moto. Well, you're wearing Moto boots.
I'm wearing Moto boots because I don't like broke ankles. But he's wearing my dad's leathers. So if you go to my Facebook, there's pictures of us. We got this wild hair, and I was like, I wonder if we can like get into a rut and drag our knee. And I was like, we're gonna do it. We got to get pictures, and we should put leathers on. Go all out.
Yeah,
on it. So there's a picture of both of us. We're not together, but like both of us
on the
went
side,
through and took a picture. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, that same day he was like,
we got an incoming call. Let's see who we got here. Hey, you're on with Campfire Moto Stories. Who do we got? Hello? Uh-oh.
Did you hang up on him?
No. But I had this problem the very first time that I used this system, and I thought I fixed it. I hope that's not the case and happening right now. Let's see. Hello? Can you hear me? Go ahead, caller. No, that doesn't fix it. Okay, this is ridiculous. Ever since I changed this board, it like jacked up on me. But I can do this because I saw the phone number. Sorry. I'm new. I don't know what to do. This is my 8th show ever. I'm doing okay. All right, we got Bluetooth connected. Here we go with this. Hang on.
While he's busy, I just want to point out the really good extension that Stone got with his legs there. I've never paid attention to him, but that's a pretty solid no-footer.
All right, we should be connected now. I'm going to dial the number that it showed called up. If I can find it. All right. There we go. You hearing that good?
Yeah, I got it.
You should get Cameron to call in. It sounds like he's got some good stories with you and him.
Yeah, we got some good ones.
I actually think I can fix it. Hello. Hey, you just called into Campfire Moto Stories. We were having some technical difficulties, so we're calling you back.
That's okay. You know, technology is our friend until it's not.
That is true. So who do we got?
Is this Big Ham?
This is Big Ham.
Big Ham.
So is this Big Ham that likes to eat Taco Bell to try to win?
Yeah.
Make good on a bet?
Yeah.
Heard a little bit of something about that.
Yeah, Big Ham. Big Ham failed at that one, but it's okay. I survived through 12 tacos.
All right, so explain to the people what was the bet, what was the deal for that?
Okay, so, it started out with hot sauce. Okay, we can't miss hot sauce part because it started out with flatline hot sauce, which is it's the hottest hot sauce in the world.
7 million on the Scoville.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've had a Viper pepper one time that was like 20 mil Scoville, and it was awful. My butthole did not like me the next day.
Well, yeah, mine didn't either. But the thing is, so we started out with hot sauce, and then we went to the volcano rice. I couldn't make it through that. And then we all decided that it was a good idea to order 25 tacos, see if I could eat 25 tacos.
Hold on, no. It was 20 tacos and 5 gordita crunches, which really is...
We gotta back up as to why you were doing this.
The why is the best part.
Yeah, so why is it that you had to eat and consume all this? And also to back up even further, Chris works at Southern Power Sports in Chattanooga.
This is one of my co-workers.
One of his co-workers.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yep.
Tell us why you had to consume this food.
And so it was a bet because, you know, I was trying to take a pioneer to kind of, you know, support Southern Honda Power Sports at this thing. And my manager said, yeah, you can. And then so that led to Big Ham was like, well, I'll tell you what, if I can do this, then I should be able to do it. And then, you know, it turned out we did that. And we also did, you know, the hot sauces and then the tacos. And, man, it was just a big...
Oh, I hope that's not... I messed up. You there?
Did we hang up on Big Sam?
No, I accidentally hit the wrong thing. You there? Oh, my God, did I just fuck this up?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay, there we
go. Sorry about that. I hit a button and it messed you up.
No, you're good. Where'd I get to?
Like 4 seconds. I mean, so just keep going.
Okay, so anyways, we did the taco thing. So after the tacos, I couldn't complete the tacos. So we decided that the best route to take was to drink a whole bottle of magnesium citrate. So then we did that.
What? Hold on. Isn't that like X-Lax?
Basically. I think it's worse, yeah.
Yeah, it's worse than S-Lax. Like it's you see the gum that you swallowed 12 years ago. It's horrible. So then we did that, and then today we were all talking about how awesome those challenges were. So today we actually did the milk and lemon juice challenge.
Oh, you actually did it?
Which Chris missed, which I actually conquered it.
Oh, that's
so if you mix if you mix milk and lemon juice together, it curdles. So you got to drink really fast.
That doesn't sound like fun.
So, no, it wasn't. So I would share more details, but I don't know if people want to hear it. So.
No, let it go. Come on. And just so people know, like,
all right. Well,
anybody...
so like when you mix lemon juice and milk, it turns into like cottage cheese consistency, and it tastes like curdled milk. And I made it through a whole Yeti cup of it.
How many ounces?
Without puking. It's a big Yeti cup. What is that? 20?
It's 20,
Is that 24? Like the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole bottle of milk and like half the thing of lemon juice.
Yeah.
Hey, but the best thing about it is we still made some sales today. We sold a bunch of units and we had fun doing it. So
I had fun watching you, that's for sure.
No, that's kind of one of the things we were going to touch on a little bit later, but Chris and I were talking about, because I grew up with my dad owning a Honda shop when I was really young, like 2nd grade to 8th grade, and just like the family vibe that I feel a lot of shops are kind of missing, and he was really hammering on like that is really what Southern Power Sports is, more the feel and the vibe that it gets. And he started telling me about some of the stuff that you guys were doing, and I'm like, that's exactly what we would do at the shops. Like, you would challenge somebody to this, or you talk shit to them about a pit bike race, and then the next thing you know, there's a pit bike race in the parking lot against employees whenever you get free time. But then somebody walks in the door and it's back to real business, getting stuff done, making it happen. But it was just really cool to hear that there's still shops out there that are alive and well, and they're doing those kind of things. So that's funny to hear you calling and tell all that.
Well, that's pretty much the point, man. To be honest with you, I mean, Chris can agree to this or disagree. Hopefully he agrees. But the thing is, not only is Southern Honda like a big family. I mean, sometimes we're the dysfunctional family, but we get by. We all love each other. But the biggest thing is what I found out, and I've been there for a year now. I was in mortgages for like 8 years prior.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, so I've been in at Southern for a year, and the thing is, like, with clients or customers. Rather, it's like everybody's family.
Yeah.
It's just like a whole family experience. So it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
Well, I'm glad to hear you calling and say that. You guys get some more of those funny stories going on in the bets and stuff. Get them filmed and send them in. I'll play them on the show.
Let's do it. I'm all down for that.
Heck yeah. Big Ham's in.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in. You got other story? Any embarrassing stuff you can talk about him so far?
I ain't been there that long yet.
He cut you off kind of
Not
quick.
about Chris. Not about Chris.
Do you have something about yourself? Hey, Parker Steele's actually a good buddy of mine. He'll hate me if you tell me one of those. So if I force you, I'm forcing you. You got anything funny on him?
Just call him Gordy.
Gordy?
Yeah, he hates it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's like Gordy,
What is
That's
Gordy
the only thing I got against him.
Yeah. You'd have to ask him on that one.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, Ham, were you at Barber this past weekend?
I wasn't. So this year was the first year that I've missed, and I was bummed, but it's all good. Still had a bunch of people asking about me, though.
The only reason I asked is because it was my first year going, because they actually finally built a motocross track there, and I wanted to test that out. And I ran into Parker just by chance. I was looking at one of the bikes that was out front. I think it was the RC51 I was gawking at. And as I literally looked up and I saw that it was a Southern Power Sports 10, I was like, oh, that's where Chris and Parker work. And then I looked and there's Parker. And so we chatted for a little bit. So I was going to say, because I said hey to a few people that were there. So if you were there, I was going to say, we actually would have met. But I guess you were lame and didn't come. So.
Man, I was just taking care of the people that wanted to buy Hondas.
Well, sometimes duty calls and you got to do what you got to do, right?
especially when you drink a whole bottle of magnesium citrate.
Now, what would have been really funny is if that you were right in the middle of almost closing a big sale, and then there's the bottom came knocking.
Didn't you get into some volcano rice unknowingly while talking to a customer?
Wait.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
How do you unknowingly get into volcano rice while talking to a customer? Because I was in sales, and you don't eat while talking to a customer.
You do with your big hand.
No, you don't. You don't. But, the thing is, I was actually sitting at my desk today, and there was some of that flatline sauce that had made it into my lunch today, and I took a bite of it. And when I took a bite of it, I had someone show up at my desk at that point in time. So I shut the box, not thinking of it, pushed it to the side, and they looked at me and they were like, "Hey man, we just want to look at this bike." And I was like, "I'm on fire." And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "I need water." And yeah, that's how that went. But they were cool. They actually bought a four-wheeler from me, and they laughed the whole time. Not as much as y'all are laughing right now. They thought it was the most funniest thing ever. And I was like, you know what? That's great with me.
That's awesome.
That was going to be my next question. Is it doesn't matter if that happened as long as you close the sale.
That's it.
So.
Yeah. ABC, always be closing.
Yep. I don't want to bring back my memories of sales training and all that stuff, so we'll just end that there. I blocked that portion out of my mind. Well, cool. All right, Ham. Thanks for calling, or Big Ham, right?
Big Ham.
I don't just want to call you Ham.
Yeah,
Big
Big
Ham.
Ham.
First class with salmon glass right there.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for
there you
calling in,
go.
bud. Do you
See
think
you,
of
buddy.
anything else to
right,
harass
thank you.
them on? Hit us up.
All right, sounds good.
All
We'll
right.
see y'all later.
See you.
It's the dude right there, man. He's a really good salesman.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, really good.
All right, so here's some sales. See what sales training you've got through you. Then
Oh boy.
what's the definition of a sale?
Close.
No,
What is it? I don't know, man.
What? Goddamn.
I'm new to sales.
The definition of a sale is the transfer of enthusiasm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. By dictionary definition,
Really?
that is exactly what
I
the
didn't know
definition
that.
of a sale is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see
Because
that though.
if
That's
you have a
big part
sales
of
guy
it.
who's just like, yeah, there's this Honda right here. It's gonna do this for you. It's gonna do it. Like you've got to.
Yeah, you
It's
got to
the same thing
make
when
the
you're trying to
customer excited.
con
yeah.
your kids into doing something you want. You know, you got to
Yeah.
be up and just an enthusiasm. You got to transfer that enthusiasm into them. So you'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll give you some good books on it.
Okay.
All right. So where were we at before you called in? The pictures? I'm so pissed at myself that I didn't check the phone call thing beforehand because, like, dude, everything, the first show worked horrible, and then the next show it worked great, and I guess at some point, every time I turn off my computer, I'm going to check that setting. So I think that's the most picture things we got here. But you were brought to me by...
Our next segment is brought to you by Hard Knocks Racing. They're a group of dedicated motorcycle enthusiasts since 1998. They're your go-to for Campfire Moto official gear and will soon launch an apparel line of their own. They excel in crafting all kinds of custom decals, like this badass sign behind me, from custom signs to full bus wraps and office customization. In fact, check out this work Anthony did at one of the well-known Japanese manufacturer's office who will remain nameless. They also crafted awards for prestigious events such as the Perry Mountain 24-hour race, Mill Creek Spring Classic, Seika Hair Scramble Series, and many more for local racetracks in the Southeast. Check out hardknocksracing.com or give Anthony D'Amico a call at 404-717-2480.
All right, we're back. I just figured that'd be a good segue into pay some quick bills real quick. So, all right, let's get back into it. We got those things going on. We were actually, before we were supposed to get into road racing, supposed to touch on inner ear.
Oh, yeah. So that was a big part of it. Like I said, at Lazy
I'm going to pull up
River.
the pictures while you're...
Yeah.
So it's on you right now, so you just keep doing your thing.
Yeah,
I'll find those pictures.
at Lazy River, I got the back-to-back concussions, and I got a few more when I was a kid. And then later on in my life, this was actually whenever I was living in Florida, I found a neurologist down there. I ended up spending basically an entire week with this neurologist, kind of going through some different issues that I was having, and some, he ran me through a bunch of tests and put me through some, I guess you'd call it treatments. Like this picture here, I'm in a hyperbaric chamber. I would get in that for an hour every day. That's the inside of it. That picture, I'm doing some eye tracking stuff. One of the things I learned in this test is that whenever my eyes move around, they jump a little bit, or like kind of doing this. And that has to do with some neurological damage.
I didn't have the camera on you, so show again.
Yeah, so like as I'm looking, as my eyes are moving up and down, they're kind of like bouncing up and down or side to side. They kind of bounce a little bit.
So is that kind of what it's on there? There's a camera looking at you while there's a screen that you're looking, almost like VR
close up on your eyeballs, and you can actually see your eyeballs moving. It's crazy. Yeah. But apparently it's pretty common, just any sort of like neurological damage, you get into those eye muscles.
So with the neurological damage, what that was brought on because of the concussions and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So this is something we kind of touched on right before the beginning of the show, because we were talking about just the data, the research that's out there, and it's really good. And you told me how you went into a big rabbit hole of reading and research and all these kind of things. And you said something about an MIT class?
I did an online course. I found a website where you can take online courses to different schools without getting the credit for it. So you can do all of the material and all of like the testing and stuff and not have to pay for it, but you don't get a grade for it. And I did one, I want to say it was MIT. It was one of those big Ivy League schools up north, I don't know, but I did one of the courses on like neuroscience and how your brain cells work and how the chemicals balance and transfer and stuff like that. Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole. Like I had some issues and was trying to figure out what it was, you know? And after this was actually a week after I spent at the neurological center, is when I got the autism diagnosis, because that was part of the stuff that I was.
That was one of the things I was going to hit on next. So that's a good way to lead into it. Oh, hold on a second. Let's we got another caller here that I think you're going to really like, but I got to turn back on the Bluetooth and make sure it's connected in, which is unfortunate timing that he's calling, because I really wanted to make sure that we got through that thing all the way together. So hey, can you hear us? Hello.
You messed it up again.
I did. I think I can do this from my phone though, so it'll work out just fine. Where's the recent? Let's see if this works through here. All right. Well, that's not calling out. God damn, I hate this.
Is this somebody else I know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
And I think this is going to be a real good one.
Hello?
Sorry about that. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on Campfire Moto Stories. Who do we got?
This is Will Posey.
Oh, Willie P. What's up, my man? Where you at, dude? I thought you were coming with me.
I wasn't there, man. It's been a busy week, but I said I had to call in, so here I am.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Dude, me and Willie go back long time. Way back to the Tunnel Hill days.
It's kind of funny. Like, he's always a dude who I've known because he's badass on a dirt bike.
Oh,
and, but I never got a chance to actually sit down, meet him or anything. So, but yeah, thanks for calling in, dude. I messaged him earlier. Kris said he didn't want to say on air with things going on why I messaged you. So we're not going to talk about that, Will. But he said the picture is out there and he knows who has it, but he's not going to tell me who has it because he doesn't. He knew I would blast him on the air with it.
It'll end up on the interwebs again.
Yeah, I didn't even know anything about it until you messaged me, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But no, I'll call in and just talk about. He kind of already hill days, man, and I can remember the good old RM65 days, man, and your dad showing up in overalls, man. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, is he in a bad signal spot?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you dropped a little bit there.
Okay. Did you hear what I said, or do I need to repeat it?
Your dad in overalls is the last thing we caught.
Yeah, no, I was talking about Chris's dad. He used to show up in overalls, and I remember the RM65 that he used to ride back in the day, man. Tunnel Hill days.
Were you there whenever he was shooting me with the paintball gun?
No, I mean, I'm sure I was, but I don't remember.
All right, so why don't you get into the paintball gun story then?
Still gets around, man. So we had just gotten some paintball guns it was my Christmas present, and we ended up at Tunnel Hill, and he told me, he's like, you come through this turn slow enough, I'm going to start shooting you. It got to a point where I was going through the turn wide open, and he's still just lighting me up as I come through. I was like, wait a second.
So it wasn't a matter if you were going slow enough. He just wanted to shoot you with a paintball.
There was one of the parents went up to Daryl, the dude that owned the track at the time. He's like, there's a guy over there shooting his kid with a paintball gun. He's like, it's just Danny. He's fine.
So Will, while he was there in the overalls, did he tell me he didn't have a shirt underneath them?
If I remember correctly, and Chris can back me on this, I think he always wore like a white shirt underneath, right?
Oh, that's not white trashy enough.
Well, sometimes he had a cutoff on. Sometimes he had a cutoff tee on.
All right.
Yep, he sure did.
But that fits the part.
We also showed up in a station wagon, so.
With the bike in the back.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
With the wood panel one, from National Lampoon's.
Dark blue with the wood grain on the side. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. It had a 455 stroker in it and would pick the front wheels up off the ground.
Nice.
It was sick.
Good old days, man. The good old days.
Man.
Wow.
Well, Will, you got any funny or embarrassing stories that he would maybe not want to bring up besides the one that we spoke on earlier that would be funny to hit on? Any of that stuff?
No, I mean, I don't really have anything embarrassing. I mean, dude, Chris always ripped. I mean, even when we were younger. And then it's funny, we actually ran into each other the last Sand Mountain race, and we said what up on the deck. I was up there. I had to fill in for announcing, and then I was down hanging out by the start, and I look over, and there's this dude on this Husky ripping, and I was like, "Who is that?" Because I just wasn't paying attention. And the next thing you know, it's Chris. He went out there and won the pro moto, and I was like, "Dude, like, what the heck?" I was like, "You still got it." So it was really cool because I hadn't seen him in so long, you know.
Heck yeah, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you were kind of based out of Sand Mountain for a while, right? Isn't that arena cross track that's across the street you had built?
Yeah, I was down there for a bit. So it was when I was living in California. We had a track built over there, and then unfortunately I ended up getting hurt. But I was going back and forth in California and there when we were doing that. But, man, I started living down there in 2009. So I trained for Loretta's there in 2009 and just have always been around. Billy and Kevin are basically like family, and so I helped them put on races there. We're actually about to have a Halloween race there in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So, I just saw that, but I got plans already because I was like, I want to go to that.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good time, man, for sure. So
you got to go to because you do stuff with Verb, right? Isn't that kind of what I understand?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So are you going to the Great Escape race this weekend?
I am not going to be there. I'm actually at the house working on some editing this weekend, so I won't be leaving the house. But me and Wes Williams, we do a lot of stuff outside of Verb too. Red Bull stuff, things like that. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, unfortunate because I'm literally my RV's halfway loaded down. I'm loading the bikes tomorrow and heading out there at 5 p.m. to go hang out. So, been cool to get to chat with you.
Yeah, man, that's going to be cool. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, and I'll hop on there one day, man. We got to schedule it up. Luckily, the schedule's starting to break up just a little bit, and I'd love to hop on.
Yeah, when I was texting you earlier, I'm going to send you the schedule to just try to see and maybe get you and Chris in because I think you guys would be an absolute hoot in with some of the stuff he was telling me. And maybe get is Cameron around still?
Oh, he's still around.
Okay, I think that'd be
He's
good.
a little gun shy. I don't know if I can get him on camera, but
Nah, what do we got to get him? We got to give him some beer, some cocaine. What do we need?
no, I don't know, man. Dick.
We just need to get him to pull off.
What was that, Will?
We need him to pull up on the old dual sport.
That's the one, man. He sends me videos almost every weekend of him jumping across intersections and stuff on his dual sport bike. Yeah.
What area is he based out of?
He's outside of Chattanooga. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So real close to you.
Yeah.
All right. So you just kidnap him.
Basically. Yeah. I know where he works. Yeah.
I will. That would be actually really funny to just video kidnapping him, bringing him into a show. Let's do it. Let's hope he doesn't hear about this, and we will do it.
Oh, he's not listening.
Yeah. So we'll figure out your schedule, and then we're gonna make sure he's there, and then we're gonna kidnap his ass. It's gonna be like on old school.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't do that. TLD just did a thing like that. We'll come up with something similar. That'll be.
We'll just get one way or another. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if we have to go old school and just throw the bag over the head and just grab him and him not know what's going on is just as good, I think.
One of my buddies, Daryl's, is like a 6'7" linebacker black dude. I'll just get him to come with us, and he'll just be like, "Get in the car."
Dude, my boy Harvey works with him. He's like 6'4", 250.
Perfect.
He could probably just pick him up and carry him there. Yeah.
Let's do it. Hog tie his ass.
We should just have Harvey in on it, and then just have your buddy that you just said and up to Cameron and be like,
all right, so maybe we shouldn't talk about kidnapping a person on live YouTube, but
it might actually happen.
We're already past that, so it is what it is. All right.
it's already recorded.
No take backs. Well, cool, man. All right, appreciate you calling in.
See you,
All right,
buddy.
we'll see y'all.
See you, bud. That's funny. I didn't know he was going to call in. Many people
awesome,
like
man.
that are friends of friends. I'll be like, hey, call in during the show, and almost nobody ever does.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was cool that he called in. All right, let me turn this back off. Hopefully I don't have anybody else surprise call me because I feel like an absolute idiot that my shit's not working right. But, all right, so we were talking about the inner ear thing, and we were looking at some of these pictures. This was one of the last pictures that we didn't get to show on there.
Just doing some infrared light therapy there.
What's that on your back? That's part of the infrared stuff?
Yeah. So the thing that's laying on my chest is the same thing. That's just the other side of it. It's I'll be honest, I don't quite understand it, but it's like the frequency of that specific light spectrum has healing properties. Yeah.
So this potentially did help heal some of the concussion issues that you had?
Yeah, and it's not just concussions. I've had 3 compression fractures, vertebrae. So I have a little bit of like nerve damage on my vagus nerve and some other nerves damage, and that's kind of, there's not really a good way to heal a nerve that's damaged, especially the vagus nerve, because it's where it's at. You can't get to it, So we did a couple things to try to get it going. I mean, it's really, honestly, just from listening to the guy talk about it and what research I've done, I think there's something to that, because you can't reach your vagus nerve, but that can. Yeah.
So you said that's how they learned that you were diagnosed, or you have a form of autism.
That's not how. It was just kind of the rabbit hole I went down. I spent a week with this guy, and he was like, this, and this explains this, but you have the rest of this stuff that doesn't explain that. So I was like, okay, well, what does the rest of this mean? And from there, I kind of got in touch with a psychiatrist. Actually, it was like, hey, this is kind of what I believe is happening, but is there any way we can like do some tests for this? And she sat me down. We had a whole nother appointment and sat me down. I did a test that took about 30 minutes. That was about it. And then we talked for about an hour. And then a few days later, she just sent me an email saying, blah, 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 blah. Kris Turner does meet the criteria for autism. And then from there, it was kind of like a follow-up, and just like, where do we go from here? Like, do I go, like, what level do I have, or what? But like, man, I've lived with it my whole life.
Yeah, because how old were you at that point? By the time you discovered
that was right around my 30th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Right. So like at that point, I'd already learned how to cope with most of these issues and stuff for me, it was more about the validity of it. You know, like, okay, this is definitely what I'm dealing with, and this is what I'm dealing with. So, like, this is how we attack this. This is how we cope with this, right? And, like, just in the last couple of years since then, I have found ways to be a calmer person, you know, to cope with that kind of stuff.
So, it's kind of funny to say that. Do you feel, because I feel with the stuff I've dealt with through racing has helped me cope with a lot of stuff that's hard to deal with for most people in life. Do you think that's something that helped you develop coping mechanisms for that?
Absolutely. Even before I had coping mechanisms, I had perseverance, and that comes from racing, 100%.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to hear, because I've always felt that about a lot of stuff. And I feel if you get to a certain level at any form of racing or anything that's really almost kind of like life-threatening that you're pushing your limits to, you develop a lot of those things that help you a lot in life. Yeah. And you'll hear other people talk about things that they're just shut down or have problems with, and you're like, I understand that because I've learned how to deal with that already. Right, yeah. So that's interesting to hear those kind of things. And another
There's
thing...
also, like, another side of it, too. Like, I don't know if I sent you the picture of this or not, but, like, one of the tests that we did was there would be a circle that popped up. Let me do it this way. There would be a circle that popped up, and it would have a shape in it. And then it would, like, be a spider web basically of like lines that would pop up and then have different shapes at the end of those lines, and I would have to pick the one that matched the shape in the middle of the circle, right? But it was happening in like 25 thousandths of a second. It would just be like, that's it. And like it started out slower than that, and I would go through, pick it, and I kept setting all these high scores, and finally he got to the end and he set it to like the fastest that it would be. And I got like 75% through it and failed. And I was mad. I was like, man, I didn't get through that one. That sucks. And he pulled it back up and started looking. And he was like, that guy right there was an NFL player. That guy right there, he's a professional open wheel drive. He wouldn't give me names of anybody, but I kind of put pieces together on who they were because of where we were, you know. He's like, your visual processing speed is like inhuman. Like it takes, you know, an average person this amount of time, and you're doing stuff in like a fourth of that time. And I've always wondered if like the concussions didn't shut off certain parts of my brain to where the other parts of my brain, you know, there's no background noise, right? It's just I see it and that's it. There's no thinking about it. It's just that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So I've always wondered if maybe there wasn't another side of it too that kind of helped me with stuff.
Yeah, and you know and this is kind of one of those things where if somehow this falls into the right commenters, this is going to stir up a bunch of shit, but Jet Lawrence, right? His middle brother, Hunter, his middle brother, and I forget his name, and then Jet. The middle brother has autism. And everybody sees how amazing Jet is. And Hunter, right? I'm not like
very genetic.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have a form of that that makes them so amazing. Because just people hear autism and they think that it's just somebody who can't function in life.
There's a stereotype there.
Yes.
But there's the thing, we all learn it too, but it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's not one thing.
I truly, ever since I've really seen the amazing athlete that him and his brother are, I'm like, and as soon as I heard on Whiskey Throttle Show that they had a middle brother with autism, like everything clicked, and I was like, they have a form of it as well. I fully believe.
I do too.
They're amazing because of that. I think that's the next evolution for us.
Oh, you don't want to go down that road with me, buddy.
I kind of want to now. We're going to lose track on every... Dude, we can go for 10 hours if you want to go, honestly. It's my show. I do whatever the fuck I want.
No, that's something that I've kind of latched onto too. I've never seen it as a negative thing. I think it's the next step, right? And it might not be a full step to the next step of evolution, but there's some sort of in-between step that it builds on, right?
No,
I fully believe that.
Yeah. And that it's... I've never even had that conversation with anybody else, maybe my friends or whatever. And as soon as you had told me about that aspect of it, I was like, this is a great opportunity to actually share that and wonder somebody who's been down that rabbit hole if they kind of feel that stuff is true or valid.
There's some racers racing at a pro level and road racing, motocross, all of it that I've looked at and like, that guy's got the autism for sure. Yeah. He's got a touch of it, you know?
All right, so let's get back on track. Then we went from inner ear to road racing at 13.
Oh wait, did you go? There's a video I sent you real quick though. The inner ear thing.
No, I didn't
that's
see
why-
any videos that you sent.
Okay, it may not have pulled up then. It was like me sitting in this chair that it was like gyroscoping around
No, it must not have sent to me.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, move on
Damn
then.
it, man. All right, so you had mentioned about Cam Moorhead supporting in road racing. Is that kind of the next step for
2005.
what got you into that?
2005, right? We put the 17s and the slicks on my YZ85. I went and raced SEMRA. 2 or 3 races in, I don't remember. Cam Moorhead, he was a big part of the SEMRA thing back then. He was kind of the first guy that pulled my dad over to the side and said, hey, that he doesn't really have a great helmet. Here's a helmet, or like he doesn't have great leathers. Here's a jacket and some pants, He was the first dude that really like believed in me as a racer. And like looking back now, like, man, my first race, I told you I got lapped, but I was coming out of the turns on a YZ85 with the tires spun up. Right? Like, no idea what I was doing, but I was out there doing it,
Yeah.
And he saw that from the outside and was like, this kid's going to go somewhere. And I thought that's always meant a lot to me, just because like I was, weeks into road racing career at that point, no idea where it was about to go. But that guy was like, he had my back from day one, absolutely day one.
And he kind of out of the Chattanooga area, or just somebody that you just
he's
saw
from
ran
the
into?
Carolinas. Yeah,
really?
He was just a big part of the SEMRA deal. Yeah,
Awesome. What area do they? Because I know WERA a lot, but SEMRA, what areas do they run in?
Nah, I don't think they're around anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so probably
longer.
you
they
said
were.
05, so the collapse of 08, 09 probably bit them.
Yeah, I think they were gone pretty soon after that.
Yeah. So the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup.
Yeah.
You got some stories from there. Some you are actually, Chris already sent me in 2 stories that we played on the first and second show that were really good. So we won't touch on those ones, but is there any other funny stuff you want to bring up from the Rookies Cup?
Man, there's so much that happened that year. That was such a loaded year for me. Like looking back, Bobier and JD Beach, like we were the 3 Americans there. But Johan Zarco, Lorenzo Savadori, like there's loaded talent in that class, but we were all teenagers. That we were nobody at that time, right?
Yeah.
We were all big in our own little pond kind of thing. But like looking back now, you see the guys that were like kicking ass there. It was Luis Salam, who, he got killed in a MotoGP race, right? Or I think a practice and MotoGP event. But he was a factory MotoGP 125 rider at that time. Johan Zarco was winning. It was Johan and Bobier that were kind of battling for the championship, right? So it's like all those guys, even back then, it's the same people that went on to do something with their lives,
Yeah.
I've always thought that was real cool looking back. But like that whole year, like I got on the podium at Mugello. It was me, Zarco, and Savadori.
No
right?
way. That's awesome.
And then like on the the podium, Dovizioso was the one that gave me my trophy, right? It was a boot. It's like a green, white, and red Italian flag Alpine Star, boot. Yeah. And then at Assen, Kevin Schwantz gave me the trophy.
Yeah,
and it
that
was
was
like a
one thing you
wooden
wrote
shoe.
down.
Yeah, I've got both of those on my desk at work, right behind my computer where you can see them. Yeah,
That's awesome. You know what's funny about Kevin Schwantz? I hadn't seen him since Opie and I went to lunch with him around the same time, actually, you and I had met.
Okay, yeah.
Raced against each other. And I saw him this weekend at Barber, but I was in the process of like scrambling to figure something out.
Yeah.
And he's down at the motocross track by himself, just standing there. Nobody's talking to him, nobody's whatever. And I happened to look over and I was like, it's Kevin Schwantz. Oh, shit. I just want to go say hey to him. But I'm busy doing this stuff. And by the time I get back, he's gone and I didn't see him the rest of the week. And I was like, son of a bitch.
So nobody at the motocross side knew him.
No.
That's
Well, I'm sure people would
they
have
probably
known or whatever. But
recognized
at this
some people
point,
did, but yeah.
it's just funny that, like, knowing that if that dude got off an airport anywhere in Europe, he would be, like, swamped by people. But, yeah, he can go to anywhere in the U.S.
He's such a cool dude, too.
He is, yes.
I saw him probably last time in 10 or 11, and then went back to MotoAmerica in 18 and saw him at Laguna. As soon as I walked up, he knew who I was. He remembered me. I was like, man, that's freaking Kevin Schwantz knew who I was. That's pretty cool,
That's awesome. All right, so you hit on the Assen thing. Oh, this is one thing I wanted to ask you about. Dopey kind of touched on his show. What happened to the Red Bull Rookies Cup stuff? Like, why did it go away? Or have you heard things? Do you have a feeling about it? Like, what do you got on that?
You mean for me in general?
No, like for
it's still
the
around.
Rookies Cup series? I
the
thought it was gone.
MotoGP series is around.
Okay, so but
they
the one in the
did,
US is not.
Yeah, so they did the MotoGP for the first year in 07. That's when we did it.
Okay.
And then in 08, they did the US series.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to it. I honestly don't. Other than like, I mean, MotoAmerica bought out the rights starting in 2013. I don't know if that had something to do with it, but
he alluded to a thing on there why, and I was wanting, because I know you didn't listen to the show, so I was hoping that you had or heard other things, because it's interesting to hear.
No, I really don't know.
The rumor mill that gets brought around. So.
No, I wasn't on their good side at that time. So, yeah.
What'd you do?
I didn't.
Sure, okay. All right, so then you, from the Rookies Cup, you went to MotoAmerica, 13 to 18?
It wasn't MotoAmerica yet. So from Rookies Cup in 08, I went and did some weird stuff. I got hooked up with John Ulrich, got on the M4 Suzuki team. And just kind of chased around doing the club races, trying to get points for a pro license. Actually, 08 was a cool year because I was riding the M4 bike. That was the first of my 600 days. I know the first time I got on it was at Roebling, and I mean, like Mark Young was there. The Sassman brothers were there. Like all the Vesra team was there. Bunch of fast guys. That's kind of just threw me out to the deep end first time on a 600, at Roebling of all places.
Oh yeah.
And but I mean, like that year I rode the 600, I rode the Aprilia 125 because that's the first time I did the wild card at Indy. Rode the Milwaukee Cup, so I was doing the MD 250. Rode a RS 125. Like I rode so many different cool bikes that year. Like that's one of the years that always stands out. It's like, man, you did a lot of cool stuff that year. Like it's.
Sorry, I'm still getting over this cough. Don't have kids. What was some of the other stuff you wanted to hit on? Casey Stoner wrestling a Ducati 2007. I think that's more of one that you were watching than participating in, right?
I'll tell you one moment that I really do remember. I'll tell you two. There was one at Assen. I think it was a qualifying session. Stoner comes out of the last turn, the chicane. When he flicks back over to the right, I watch him take his wrist and go straight to the stop, and the electronics didn't cut in, and just straight to full plumb sideways, launched him down the front straightaway. But the trust that guy had in the electronics was next level.
Unreal.
Oh, it was insane. Like getting to watch it up close next to the track was something else.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, especially at that age, you're very impressionable. You pick up on stuff. So, yeah, it was really cool.
What about the Rossi giving a signed autobiography?
Dude, that was right when his biography came out, and he actually came and met with all of the Rookies Cup riders. We had like a little group. He came in there and said hi to us, talked to us for a minute, and gave each one of us a book that he had signed for it. Like, I thought that was another thing. Like, it's Valentino Rossi, like at the end of the day, I'm still just a big racing fan, so that was another. I still got that book put up.
So did he walk in and he was like, this is my book, it's very good, I signed it for you, and you read it and go faster. That's kind of
pretty much the meeting. That's good. I push.
I start to go sideways, and then I give the gas, and I take my leg out. All right, so believe it or not, we've been at this like an hour and 15 minutes. This goes by fast. All right, some notable experiences that I had. 2006 WERA novice class, and with some talented peers. What do you got on some of that?
Yeah, so like that's just another note that I thought was real cool, man. Whenever I got my novice WERA racing license, very, very beginning of anybody's road racing career, right? Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly.
You had to wear the orange shirt for the first few races. Yeah, I've been there.
I did the Ed Bargy school at Little Tally. Miles Thornton was there. All three of the Gillum brothers were there. Nick McFadden was there. I think he was like 10 years old on a RM85. There's a puppy in here.
There's a dog in here.
There's randomly. A puppy in here now. We got
Chicken Joe in here.
Special guest.
Yeah. You join in on the show?
I could maybe grace you with my presence.
All right, yeah, come on in. Here, I actually will have to plug in some stuff. When I said, come on into the show, I didn't think you...
That's it.
Hey, don't give me drug deal money and show live, bro.
Frankie.
I stole one of your beers, too.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Boy,
run a loose program here at Campfire Moto. What's Frankie doing over here?
You guys see how cute this puppy is?
Me and helping me unload.
You guys see the puppy?
Leave him in.
I don't mean to be hijacking here now.
Nah, dude, what's going on?
Come on. This is Joe. There we go. There's your third one. Talk a little bit, Joe.
What the hell just happened here, man? You Let's go back to the Fox days. All right.
Hear anything?
I hear something.
I hear him.
All right, we got live intruders. This is why you don't put your address out to people when you're doing a live podcast here.
Oh, dude, your dog just fringed me.
You actually have to tip her for that.
Oh.
Ronnie Adams wants to know if Kris slept in a tent at the Rookies Cup.
I slept in a Sprinter van quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, about halfway through the year, I ended up getting a sponsored Pole Position Travels. They do like MotoGP, like travel agency, I guess you would call it. And they kind of picked up the bills a little bit on some of the plane tickets and hotel expenses. But I did spend a good bit of time in the back of a Sprinter van that year. Yeah.
And that's like,
shout out to the Blaylocks on that.
That's
one.
like early Sprinter vans days too, like year 1 or 2, because I think 04, maybe 02 is when they first came out, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, actually, probably over in Europe. They
over there, probably a little longer. Yeah,
probably 10 years before then. All right, so you were talking about, before we were so rudely interrupted, is rookie days.
So we went through 08. I did the Indy wild card at the end of the year.
No, we didn't get. We were still in 06 novice class, and then I was going to go into
all over the place.
You already talked about 07 Rookies Cup, so the next thing we were going to hit on was the 08 racing the M4, setting unbreakable lap times.
Oh, that was actually on the Aprilia 125.
Oh, okay.
I did some lap times on, and I'm just gonna, since my boy Parker, he keeps coming up since he's at Barber this weekend, and he only did a 36 over there on a 600. I'd like it'd be a good time to bring up that I threw down a 31 flat on a 125. So.
Actually, when I was in the museum this weekend at Barber, I saw one of the RS 250s, and I told him, because I somehow came across an RS 50 at one time.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, I got that 50 because I want the 250. And I know there's no way I'll ever be able to get one of those. Dude, like, that is one of the coolest machines. I mean, obviously the 125 is a badass machine as well.
Have you rode a 250?
No. I've got to look at them like from a distance and, you know.
Dude, I raced Miles Thornton's TZ250 at GNF once.
No.
It was cool. Yeah, it was super cool.
So would you feel that's comparable to the RS50 or not so much?
It's not even comparable to the 125.
Oh, really? So it's like a few notches down below from one of those.
It's twice what a 125 is.
Huh.
Straight up.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember what kind of lap times I got down to because I struggled on it. I was small still. I couldn't get through the S's on it. But the last lap, I dropped 3 seconds the last lap alone and ran down Dane Westby and passed him on the back straightaway last lap, beat him for the national championship. He was so mad on the cool down lap. He come blowing by me, wouldn't even look at. I was giving him a thumbs up. He wouldn't even look at me. But he came back up to me after the race and was like, "Sorry, that was kind of an asshole move. You did really good." And like, man, ever since then, me and Dane were buddies. You know, like.
That's honestly what it has to take sometimes. If somebody cool guy you or be an asshole to you, and then the next thing you know, you're good buddies for life from there. Huh?
Dane was a good one though.
All right, so 09 to 11, I got a note about like privateer days and struggles with bike ownership.
Not so much bike ownership. So I got, for lack of better words, I got fired. Put on my ass halfway through the season.
What team were you with?
I was with the M4 team.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, like, I've put this out there before. I've even talked to JU about it since then. But at that time, I put a lot of blame on them. But looking back, a lot of that was on me. Mm-hmm. You know, just being young and stupid, making dumb choices. You know. But they fired me like halfway through one of the weekends at Road America. put me on a plane home. So like,
No way.
from there, I didn't race for the rest of that year until the very end of the year. The AMA was going to Daytona twice that year. That was when they were, it was still the DMG days. So they went to Daytona twice. I got to do the AMA race at the end of the year there. It went all right. But the next year is kind of, in 10, I guess. 10 was the first year that we kind of did it fully on our own. And it was okay. It was nothing great, but it was decent, 11 is when I always kind of felt like I hit my stride, And I was looking back recently. I think I only did like 4 races in 2011. That's all I did. Yeah. But, I had the race at Barber, where I was racing with Tommy Aquino. Went into the last turn trying to set him up for a move and lost the rear coming out of it. Almost high-sided myself, went off the track, whatever. Came back, finished 7th. But like after that race, like you go back and look at the times, and I had 2 or 3 of the fastest segment times. I had the fastest lap up to a certain point of the race. And we go to the next round at Mid-Ohio. I feel like we had some mechanical issues all weekend. I don't remember. Something happened. But get to Sunday and like running, I think I was in 6th place, was running PJ Jacobson down as he was running the leaders down. Same thing, had fastest segments, had fastest lap time at one point. Few laps ago, I lost the front, tossed it away. Happens, right? But like for me, I raced 4 times that year, and I'm looking at lap times like, man, I'm there. I'm on a privateer bike that me and my dad built, mostly my dad. And like I'm right there with him, And then I had the Triumph deal kind of dropped in my lap from John Ulrich. He called us up and was like, hey, man, like we've got this deal with Triumph. We got this bike that's built. They're wanting us to do this and that. And we're just going to give it to you and let you do it. I think this would be a good opportunity for you. I was like, all right, let's do it. It wasn't a great opportunity for me, Bennett. It wasn't at all.
Before, because that was the next one I wanted to hit on, but as kind of I like this to hopefully be a thing that hits somebody that kind of hits a little thing with them. But like when you said that you were doing things that you look back and it was partially your fault, was that more partying? Was that more complaining? Was that more like what? To summarize it,
it goes back to the concussions is what it goes back to. I had a rage problem. I would get mad. I'll bring up one story because this one's still well known. People still talk about it sometimes, but I don't remember the year exactly. 08, maybe 09, whatever the last year they did the Suzuki Cup at the GNF. Me and Robbie Jensen had kind of in the 600 class. We had already broke everybody. I think Michael Barnes was in 3rd, and we had put 4 or 5 seconds on him a few laps in, gone. Back straight away coming down into 9A, he decides that he's going to pass me on the right side on the brakes when there's,
there's not a lot of room in 9A.
Right, yeah. And looking back now, I understand why he did that. You're setting up for 10B, right? But he gets in there. Anyways, 160 miles an hour on a 600. I go to grab my front brake, and his elbow is in between my lever and my clip-on. I have no front brake.
Oh, shit.
So like it's at this point, I'm a whole brake marker deep, and I'm beating on his arm, trying to get his arm out, and he finally tucks his elbow in, which turns my bars. My bike goes into his, and I essentially took him off his bike with me as I went across. But there was a picture of me sliding down the hill in the 10A, like giving him double fingers. But we get up, and like that race paid $10,000 to win.
Oh, jeez.
We're on like lap 4 of 10, and he's pulling moves like that, right? Like, why are you taking us out? No, we're not even halfway through the race. You just cost me $10,000. I don't remember what second paid. I didn't care, but you cost me at least that, right?
Yeah.
But like, I didn't handle it right.
Yeah.
I got up in the gravel, and Robbie Jensen? He was.
I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Tall,
I know Michael Barnes.
Right, yeah.
And I'm sure he thanked you guys for that situation.
Yeah, he had a great day.
He probably won.
Yeah. No, Jensen's like 6 foot tall, and I'm 2 inches from being a midget, So like I'm yelling at him. He's walking away from me through the gravel. And I'm screaming at him, and he won't acknowledge me. And I came up behind him. I put my foot in front of him and just shoved him as hard as I could. And was yelling. I was like, freaking listen to me when I'm talking to you, you know? I got a nice little butt chewing from JU on that one. there was a whole article on Road Racing World about how concussions caused like rage and all this stuff. And like, yeah. So but like that turned into something like later on in my life where I had to get a hold of that and was like, man, I actually have some issues here that I need. That's where that came from, the neurological stuff. That's what I was trying to figure out.
And I applaud you for looking into that, because a lot of people just don't ever admit that they have an issue.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's cliche, but that's the first step, right?
Yeah.
Admitting you have a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So,
home with me.
You're not stealing my dog. My kid will kill you. He will literally hunt you down to that. Okay, so the Triumph thing, that was one of the things that we wanted to talk on, because that was, from my understanding, what led into the end of your racing path career at that trajectory.
Yeah. And like, before we get into it, no shade at Triumph whatsoever. They did so much for me that year, man. They made me feel like one of their own. They put me in there like I was one of their racers, you know? And like my whole ordeal wasn't even through them. It was for Road Racing World, right? But they kind of took me in. You know, they saw from, I mean, Daytona, first race I did with it, I popped a motor in qualifying. I was on a lap. No, I popped a motor in practice. I was on a lap in qualifying. I was following Dane Westby on the lap that he put it on pole. And like, you know how Daytona is, like if you're following them and you're behind them coming out of the chicane, you're going to beat them to the finish line. I'm not saying I would have been on pole. He put it on pole that lap. I tossed it in the chicane on the back straight. Yeah. That same lap, right? But like every race I went to that year, I had a mechanical issue of some sort. And like, honestly, if you go down to the next to last race that I did at Homestead, I think the last race was at NOLA, but the next last race was at Homestead. From the very first practice session of the weekend on Friday, I didn't finish a session. Mechanical first practice, mechanical second practice, mechanical qualifying. I started the first race dead last, mechanical. Sunday morning warm-up, mechanical. You get to Sunday afternoon, you're starting dead last in race 2, and you don't give a shit anymore. Yeah. You know? And we're sitting on the grid, and like I look over at my dad, and it's like, it's going to rain. Like, yeah, it kind of does look like it's going to rain. And right before the race starts, bottom just drops out. Yeah. So everybody's rushing to get rain tires on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So long story short, I come from last. I think I came across the finish line on the first lap in like 7th or 8th. Ended up getting 6th that race, and that was the best finish I had on 600. But after the race was over, my dad was looking, was like, your front tire's on backwards. So all of like the treads where the water should have been like going, it wasn't doing it right. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like the bike was good. It wasn't bad. I did all of my fastest lap times on the Triumph.
No, I've heard a lot of good things. I remember about that time frame that a few people would come to our track days. We would host Mary Motorsports on 675s, and I always wanted to get on one because I heard how awesome they were on the track.
Fast bike. I had no trust in the front end, but I was still faster on it. Yeah.
So were you like rear wheel steering with it kind of thing, like sliding the back end almost?
I was always coming from the 2-strokes. I was always real heavy on the front end, and I still am a little bit. But on that bike, you kind of had to learn to use the bottom end that it had, because it did have more bottom end than a 600, a typical 600.
Yeah, because it was a triple, right?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it came down to just being smooth with it more than anything. But like even then, like I felt like I still had time left in me because I wasn't comfortable, you know?
Well, we're a good ways into this, and we were going to actually, Kris sent me a video from back in the day on one of the road races. So we're going to play this for a little bit, let you guys get a little viewership of what a badass Kris was, or is, potentially. We'll get into that later, on a street bike. So we wanted to pull up this track. So we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll, I'm going to leave the volume off for a second. And then, so what track, what's going on here for this thing?
So this would be 2012 GNF. We're at GNF. I think GNF.
That's Barber, obviously.
It's definitely Barber, yeah. This is the middleweight solo 20 on Saturday.
Okay, so was this the one you were telling me you were like how far back and came through the pack?
Yeah, I don't remember where I started, but for the people that have been there, they can kind of see I'm behind the building.
Because the starting line is there, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's let these people enjoy it. We'll take a quick little break, and we'll come back in a little bit. So, for your viewing
real
pleasures.
Quick, I just want to point out that I passed Parker Still right here in a second. I don't know if Parker's watching or not, but
he won't, but he'll get to see
all
it eventually.
The jabs.
And also, people you work with Parker will make sure to point this out to him.
Yeah,
so
sure.
How much longer until we see this happen? Jesus, how many people have you passed already?
All of them. Not really.
This is my favorite turn coming up for Barbara.
You hear that bike? That bike sound is so good.
Yeah. Right there.
Yup.
And into the museum turn. I didn't know that bridge right there has a glass section. So there's a bridge they built now.
Yeah.
You can stand on it and look at the people coming underneath you.
Yeah.
And then you can walk past it and there's a waterfall and really cool.
Yeah, I built a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, so what I figured we'd do here is we cut this off a little bit and tell us a little bit about this race then. Like what do you remember from it? What happened? What was cool?
I mean, it was 12 years ago, but no, I mean, it was just a fun, normal little WERA race, you know, coming from the back, working my way up front. Always liked working through traffic, even like at a club race. Always think that's the funnest. I like racecraft. That's the funnest part of racing to me. So
Little look back there.
Yeah.
See who's back behind you.
Yeah, the other video I sent you was during the heavyweight solo, so I was racing against a bunch of thousands, so that was a lot of fun too.
And what bike are you on right now?
That is on the Triumph, the 675.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the back ends being that boxy. I actually thought it was.
I don't think it actually. I think it's that camera angle. Honestly, it comes to a good point at the end.
All right, so that was cool. We needed a little pee break right there, so we just figured we'd play that for your viewing pleasures. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I want to get through some of my segments that I do on my show every week, or every other week, I should say. So what's some of the other ones that we do? So tech tips. I got a cool little tech tip I filmed the other day while I was wrenching on a bike, so we'll do that one right now.
Now it's time for some awesome tech tips.
Transform your comfort with Innovative Mechanical LLC, specializing in HVAC service for residential and commercial properties. They provide expert installation, maintenance, and repair. Their certified technicians ensure top-notch service, whether it's air conditioning, heating systems, or indoor air quality solutions. Serving Georgia since 1999, they prioritize customer satisfaction with prompt, reliable service at competitive rates. From routine maintenance to emergency repairs, trust Innovative Mechanical LLC for all your HVAC needs. Give them a call at 770-726-7407 or visit innovativemechanical.llc.com to schedule service and experience unparalleled comfort today. Got another tech tip. So, you got a bolt that's broken. I successfully got this one out. What I did is just took a simple drill, drilled that sucker as straight as I can in there. And a little trick that a lot of people don't tell you is torque bits. Find a torque bit that fits in there. Hammer that bitch in there real good. And once you get it, use an impact of some kind. Now, sometimes an impact gun won't work. But get your little handheld impact. These things work very well for that. So as you put it on there, just hit at the end with a hammer while you're turning it with your hand the same direction, and it'll help drive it out. Another pro tip when you're dealing with something like that is make sure you heat the shit out of it. There's a tech tip for you.
You ever know that about torque bits?
No, that's pretty good, actually.
That was something that I learned when I was doing some diesel tech stuff, because like I would always use easy outs. They would always break. It was always cheap to find some torque bits, right? They have like just enough grip with a star on there where there's charts where you can, like, this drill bit for this torque bit. But yeah, you find, like, I'll take a drill, put it in, and I'll get the closest torque bit that's a little bit bigger than that. Just hammer it in, hammer. So I've always have like an extension that I use for my hammering, because then it's so boogered up. And then once it's wedged in there real good, then I'll take the other extension, and with the electric one, you can really push your chest onto it and hammer it at that same time. Almost every time it'll come right out.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, torque bit with that little technique. Now, of course, you have to be smart enough and skilled enough to get the drill bit in the center and at the correct angle. But if you can get that right,
I can do that part.
I've
had plenty of broke bolts in my life.
I swear, within 6 months, I think you're gonna text me like, "Hey, dude, I use this and it works." So probably, I can't wait for that text to come through. All right, what's some of the other ones? Okay, so 2 shows ago, did you happen to see the whole Caleb Russell Yamaha 350 thing. The dude called in. So that
you got a whole thread on Vital.
If you Google right now, Caleb Russell Yamaha, my YouTube show comes up.
Yeah, you made it a thing.
So, well, there's bits of truth to it, and honestly,
Is there a 350 coming?
I don't think the 350 is going to come, unfortunately. But because I have a few connections with Yamaha. We're not going to say who. I meant to tell you we don't talk about that on the show. But I have enough insight to where I hopefully could sit down with somebody high enough at Yamaha and show them the comments, show them the interest, and be like, I am telling you, look at all these people saying, I will sell my KTM and buy a Yamaha to get this kind of thing.
Okay. Can I say something on that?
Sure.
I'm a 250 guy.
Okay.
Because I'm a small guy, right? I can ride a 450 just fine, but it's a lot of work to do it.
Yeah.
For a very, very, very long time, I've said we need something to bridge the gap between a 250 and a 450. There's too big of a gap between those bikes.
Yep.
Yeah. I've rode a Husky 350. Shout out to Sean Webb. Rode his a couple times. Phenomenal bike.
Yeah.
It's perfect power.
Yep. And that's what I hoped to achieve with that, is the interest that it would grow.
Right.
Because
everybody should be
if you really listen to what he's saying, the mystery caller that called in, is he's saying Caleb Russell helped develop the 350. It is pretty much confirmed, not just through my show. Like Steve Mathis said it on one of his re-raceable, like a week later, somebody sent me a thing and was like, hey, they just confirmed it too, but I was the first one to break it right here.
First one.
But the 350, he said, I think it'll make sense that he would help them develop a 350 because he helped them develop the KTM 350. That was really the main thing of it. So this other segment I haven't hit on for a while is called Assholes on the Internet. One of my favorite segments, because no matter what, you could be the nicest person in the world, and as soon as you post something, there's going to be somebody that just wants to interject their opinion that's just kind of being a dick. So this dude right here, breaking news about 2 months ago, LOL. I'm just like, oh, so sorry to interrupt. Because apparently this is something that's been well known in like the off-road world. Like a lot of GNC, because that dude that called in heard it because he knows a lot of GNCC people. So, and this was actually not one of the better examples of it, but somebody, I got a lot of, oh, this is clickbait bullshit. So this dude's like, it's clickbait. And I said, well, obviously a lot of people, because already at that point, so many people were commenting saying like, oh no, I heard about this. Yes, it's confirmed. He's going to Yamaha. Yes, this is the thing. Somehow, oh, this is really funny. And I'm somebody that's related to his wife or sibling commented on it, basically tagging them and saying all kinds of things, and it was, go find the thread is all I'm saying, and you'll get a good laugh out of it. I don't remember exactly where it was, but if you can look into this through Facebook, there's some stuff where it got into even some random dude getting accused of cheating on his chick, and it went down a hilarious rabbit hole with it. But one of the funny things is somebody, and I thought I got a picture of this one, was like, oh, this is just bullshit clickbait. And I was like, of course it's clickbait. I'm a new fucking show. I'm trying to get fucking clicks. So, yeah.
So definitely going to Yamaha, but the 350,
I think is unlikely, but God, it needs to happen. And
Honda makes a 400 kit.
Yeah.
That you can get. I think that would be
So wait, is that the 450 sleeve down?
I don't remember, man. I think so, because they make 300 kit, I believe, for the 250.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then a 400 kit for the 450, I believe, yeah.
I've said for the longest time, somebody needs to make a D-stroke, D-sleeve kit for a 450, but it would have to be a head. It would have to be an ECU or a tuning program and all those other things where you'd essentially need to break the engine apart at the cases.
Well, at that point, you might as well make a no bike.
Yeah. But they could probably sell a kit for $5,000 and people would buy it.
I'm sure.
People buy the side-by-side turbo kits for $5,000 all day long.
It's more than that, but yeah.
No, I thought no.
Jackson
you're right.
Racing,
It's like
$5,800. It's about $6,500.
Yeah, GYTR sell the kit though. That's like
I'm not worried about what Yamaha sells.
6,000 or whatever. Well, I am, because that's where you get shit from. All right, so the next segment we're going to get into is stolen bikes. And unfortunately, I messaged these people asking if I could share this, and they didn't say anything. But I'm not offering entries to this, and it's public information. So this is wild. Did you know about this?
No.
South African Motocross of Nations team had their bike stolen in the UK.
Wow.
Yes.
Like from the track?
I don't know if it was from the what's on the screen is what. Yeah.
One day. Okay, was this before the race? Did they get the race?
Well, it said early hours
after the race
this morning in, what is that, Lutterworth, UK?
Yeah, Lutterworth, UK.
And this is a day ago at 5 o'clock tonight. So,
man,
what are we on Thursday? So Wednesday morning, this happened.
That's insane.
Yeah. And you know what's wild is, I don't know if you've heard the story about the factory YZ400 getting stolen over in Europe. And essentially, the way that it kind of works over there is you ask around and pay the right people, and then somebody will show up in an alley with the bike.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least you have a way to get your bike back there. Here, that you won't see it for 20 years.
You know what would be wild? And I'm not saying they did this at all. Disclaimer. South Africa did not do this, but what would be wild is, remember the dude that got busted for the gold medals in the Olympics? Tried to say they got stolen, but he was trying to avoid paying taxes?
Yeah.
What if this is some big insurance thing? I don't think that's the case, but how wild would that be if that turned up to be the case ways back?
Breaking news?
No,
did you just break something?
No, I did not. Hey, I will say there's a disclaimer at the beginning of my show that says none of this is real, none of this is true. So, all right.
That's crazy, though. Like, you hear stories of people taking their bike to Supercross.
Well, in Atlanta, it was yearly.
Right.
Yeah. That's probably one of the best things, the fact that Atlanta Supercross doesn't exist anymore, is the fact that bikes don't get stolen all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so this is my viewer video that got sent in. So my buddy Nick Campbell, this is the second time he's captured an amazing video. This was at a National Enduro not too long ago. Let's see if I get this pull up, and I'm going to have to rewind it a little bit. We're going to pause it. All right, so to preface this, he went swimming at this National Enduro. And while he's sitting there, this glorious moment happened. So here we go.
All right, boys. Well, I just had a nice little wreck, and bike will not start. I've been here about 15 minutes. The button doesn't even work anymore. So I saw mile 11 of 14, or 10 of 14 a while ago, so I think I'm at mile 11, probably got 3 miles out. Oh, yep, that's... Hey, I just did that same thing, but with my bike.
That's good stuff.
I'm fine, my bike just won't start. Yep.
That's good capture.
Yeah, no,
right
dude,
there.
that was amazing. I was like, dude, I'm sharing that on my show. The last one, he had Josh Hill crash with his Stark and then whiskey throttle and take off.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, how are you getting these amazing videos? But I encourage you people, if you have good videos that you think people will entertain on the show, send them to Campfire Moto Stories on Instagram or Facebook. Just DM me. It gets you entry into my YZ250 giveaway. You saw the bike. I do this at all my guests. Tell them about that thing.
The bike is awesome, man. The bike is clean. It's done right.
So I will say, I don't want Kris to win this because he already told me if he wins it, he's going to sell it for tire money for road racing.
Gone. Yeah, that's a heads up to everybody. If I win, it's going up for
And
sale.
unfortunately, I think, well, fortunately for you, you have the most entries because you've sent in 2 stories that have been played. That's 100 entries, 100 entries. You come and show that's 100 entries. You got 300 entries right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
I'm coming back next time, too. You don't know it yet, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Send in some more videos. Sending in dick pics does not count as entry, sir. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that one right now.
Well, that's 20 entries I don't have.
All right, so what was another one? This dude, I ended up watching this. He gave me permission to, and it's just a crash reel of woods racing that is just amazing. All right, let's watch this one. I can't play the sound on this one because I think it's playing some stuff that'll get me into some trouble with. with a YouTube copy. Oh, there it goes again.
In there.
I think this is all one race, too.
Is this the same guy?
Yeah, the same guy.
Oh.
Like I said, he put together a great compilation crash.
I've had some fourth races like that.
I've witnessed a few of those.
Oh.
We need to look at the pants and see if it's the same color, because then we would know if it's the same race or not.
Okay. I'm still seeing purple.
Yeah. Looks like that one, he touched somebody and somebody hit him, and that caused him to go down. You run flags or you run...
I've always been a bark buster guy, but I kind of aim for the trees and bounce the bars off of them. Yeah.
All right, we're starting back over with this again. I just saw that same crash again.
Definitely purple pants and gloves every time.
Every single time.
That's a bad day right there.
Which I wish I would have thought about it, and I thought about it like right at like 4:30 today. That crash sequence video at Monkey Town, Tennessee,
where I did the front flip.
Yeah, you did. It was a perfect crash sequence of like slide out into the front flip, and that was a pretty funny one.
Yeah, that one was fun. Yeah,
maybe I'll go back and find the pictures and put
that
it
actually hurt. Actually, I only did one lap that race. I went off. I think I got like a couple miles in and was behind everybody because of that first turn crash. And got tangled up with somebody, hit a tree, and then I hit another tree later in that lap. I finished the first lap and pulled over to my dad. I was like, it's not the day. Let's go home.
All right, so that's most of our segments. I could do some other stories and some things like that, but I'm going to save them because we're already running a little long, and also, like, this has just been a good show with these things, and there's still a lot of stuff that I want to touch on with you. So... one thing that we wanted to hit on that I think is really awesome is the family you've created. Like, because like we said earlier, you came from adoption. And I feel like with that and knowing that past, there's probably like something in you that wanted to start your own.
Definitely.
And create a good family. And it seems like talking with you and the things that we shared earlier that you've done that. So give a shout out. Tell us a little bit about your family and stuff, man.
Man, So I met my wife at the end of 2011. I raced through 2012 and quit. And man, I'll tell you right now, when I quit racing at the end of 12, it kind of, and we kind of talked about it. I told you kind of what happened and where I ended up, but that was a rough one for me because like I went into the off season thinking that I had something lined up and it didn't pan out. And she was there to catch me when that happened, we ended up getting married.
Well, before we go to that, I just wanted to point out the fact that your first date was what movie was that you said that was earlier? I'm gonna hold this shit against you.
Our first date, we were going to see Twilight movie.
But you couldn't go see the one showing?
Yeah, we were wanting to go to an earlier one, but we had to go to a later one because I had a court for reckless driving.
Why'd you have court?
I may have got a reckless driving ticket for doing a wheelie on a 600. Yeah. Actually, there's a picture of me floating around. It's the same guy that has the other picture has.
All right, I'll find them. Yeah. I will find them.
There's a picture of me doing a hill clicker on a 600.
Oh, nice.
That was about an hour before I got pulled over for doing a wheelie. Yeah. Yeah, what was I? That would have been 11, so I was 19 years old when that happened. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had a reckless drive. Now, here's the fun thing. I didn't tell you this earlier, but the judge of East Ridge, he's the one that I had to go to court and talk to and all that. Whenever I was like, I don't know, I guess 4 or 5 years old, something like that, we had that JR50. Our next door neighbor would always complain about how loud it was. Long story short, it ended up into a whole court battle.
No way, over JR50?
Yeah, saying that it was too loud. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Karens. Damn Karens.
Yeah. But the lawyer that my dad hired for that ended up being the judge that I talked to.
Oh, no way.
For the reckless driving ticket. I got 6 months probation, got it took off my record. It worked out for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so
But yeah. So
delayed the date because of that.
Yeah.
and then- all right, now we can cut to the other part.
Yeah, then I mean from there everything moved quick, man. We got married in January of 2014. Had our first kid.
Mm-hmm.
You put the pieces together, but literally 9 months
now,
later.
So yeah, that's right around there.
Yeah. And then like, I mean, even then, like, what was I? I was 22 when I had my first kid.
Okay.
I was young.
Yeah.
You know, scared to death. Would not change it for the world. Like looking back now, like it's been a struggle for the last 10 years, but I wouldn't change it for nothing.
Yeah.
And then 2019, we had my daughter, Valentina. She's my baby. It's my princess.
She sounds like she might have been named after somebody. Valentina.
No, don't say it. Don't say it. I got away with it for 5 years. Don't bring it up.
Really?
There was so my wife is Latina. She's from Ecuador.
Okay.
So whenever we named Connor, I named him after two people. I named him after Connor LaFrance. His middle name is James, after a guy that I grew up around, James Parton.
Mm-hmm.
There's some locals in Chattanooga. He's a legend, man. So whenever the second one came around, my wife was like, I'm naming this one with a Latina name. And she sent me a list of a bunch of different names, and I saw Valentina, and I was like, that's the one. That is the one.
That's awesome.
You know what's funny, though? My oldest one, a lot of thought went into his name. And even with Valentina, like, there's a whole thing with, like, her middle name and all that. Like, there's a lot of thought.
Yeah.
My youngest one,
Was it just like draw from a hat?
Basically. It was the same thing. My wife sent me a bunch of names, and one of the names was Matthias. I've always been a fan of Matthias Passini. Because I thought it was a cool name, straight up. So like whenever she sent that, I was like, Matthias, I like that. And we're like, what do we do for a middle name? So me and my oldest son are sitting there watching Disney movie once, Luca. You've seen it?
Oh yeah.
I'm sitting there, I was like, Matthias Luca. That's cool. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
So he's literally named after a racer and a Disney movie.
Okay, so it's boy, girl, boy.
Yeah, boy, girl, boy. Yep.
How old is the youngest?
2.
So we got 2,
so
5, 10.
My oldest one turned 10 on September 29th. My youngest one turned 2 on September 23rd.
Oh,
6 days apart.
That's my wife's birthday is 23rd.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yep.
That's funny.
Yep. And then my little girl, she's 5. She'll be 6 in January.
I can't believe that was really like a moment.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So, we touched a little bit about your adopted parents, but do you want to go into a little bit of their background and stuff too? And I actually, there's a guy I worked with at Cycle Nation and like around that same time, and I think he was adopted and his parents were doctors, but I thought, is that part of your family too? Am I getting those stories mixed up or no? Okay, so that was definitely his then. So, but yeah, do you want to touch on any of that stuff? Your adopted parents?
Not real.
No. All right.
I mean, I just make it short. My biological mom died when I was in 8th grade.
I meant your adopted parents.
Oh, adopted parents. Yeah. No, I mean, it's dude. It's like I said before. That's what gave me the lifeline. You know?
I mean, give them a shout out. What's their names? Like, where are they from that same area too? Or are they not wanting to publicize them?
Yeah. No, my dad's local legend.
Yeah.
One of the fastest dudes on a street bike around. Yeah.
Really? Okay. So he had some road background area.
Yeah, but he's just a street bike rider.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and then that's something we've talked about before too. Like where I've always been really good on a road race bike is letting off the brakes and rolling into the turn, like that roll speed into the apex. And I honestly think I picked that up from him. Just like my entire childhood, even before I was road racing, before I had anything to do with street bikes, I was on the back of a bike with him going to Suches or going to Dill's Gap or going to the Cherahela Skyway almost every weekend for a long time, and he's always been fast. So like that feeling of just letting off the brake and rolling into the turn, I kind of got a sense of that from a young age,
What would you say is a bike that you remember doing those kind of things the most with?
Either a ZRX 1200 or a Busa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He still has a ZRX. He loves ZRX.
So not like a very nimble, well-known flickable bike either.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No. No, I remember riding a Busa up and down the road around like the little town I was from, like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By yourself or just on the back, you're meaning?
No, by myself.
Yeah.
I mean, not often. Just let me do it every now and then.
I know my dad's going to be listening to this at some point, but I remember stealing my dad's Blackbird 1100.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one to steal. Yeah.
And I was a little dude, too, so it was, I don't know how I ended up wadding that thing up.
Awesome.
But I do remember one time, like, showing off my buddies and going to 70, and what I thought clicked down into, like, from fourth into just third, I went into first and dumped the clutch and
money shift. Yeah.
And then like had to pull it in and, like that was I just remember being like so close to death at that point. And that was probably 7th grade or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I might be getting a call any second now if he's still awake watching this, but yeah, definitely did that shit. Seems like you had permission. I did not.
Some of the stuff, yeah.
All right, so I have a note here about moving down to Florida and then returning back home.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to get through it, like, so 2012, into 2012, stopped racing, 2013. I mean, dude, I was in my early 20s and spent 90% of my life chasing one dream, right? And then it's just, you get the carpet yanked out from under you, kind of left on your ass wondering, like, what do I do in my life? You lose your whole identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I went through a bunch of different phases. Started out, I wanted to be an electrician. Did some landscaping stuff, did some construction stuff. Got in with a 3D printing company once. Got in, Toyota dealership as a technician for a while.
Yeah, you're literally just searching at that point.
Yeah, that's the one. Just trying to land on my feet somewhere. And then I ended up on a Snap-on truck for a little while and started making decent money for the first time. And that ended up with me buying a FC1. Drove up to Knoxville to get it and rode it back. Okay, that's all I did was ride it back.
So from Knoxville
home.
to where in Florida?
No, this is when I'm still in Chattanooga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like that was like, we'll get to Florida.
Okay.
I'm leading to it.
Okay. Sorry.
But that was what triggered me going back into MotoAmerica. I woke up the next day and I wanted to go ride. It was pouring down rain, so I watched MotoAmerica race for the first time. Like when I quit, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't watch no racing, wanted nothing to do with it. Completely got away from it.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah. I sat down and watched Coda, I think it was.
What's Coda? I'm not familiar with that.
Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, like one of the tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The round. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you said, I'm thinking a movie for some reason. That's why I didn't click.
Yeah. But I sat down and watched like basically the entire weekend that day. Went back, watched all the practices, watched all qualifying racing and everything. I texted my dad that next day and was like, I think I could still do this. And he was like, I know you can. Okay. And then a couple of weeks go by, I texted him, I was like, I found an SV. Oh yeah, that's cool, fun. Yeah. A couple days later, I called him. I was like, hey, I just got off the phone with MotoAmerica. I signed up for Laguna. What? That's 3 weeks from now.
And that is a track I will say I've always wanted to ride.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it looks like
Such a cool track. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Just for the one turn.
Yeah.
What is that called?
The corkscrew.
Corkscrew.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to call it by the wrong name, and it was going to be embarrassing.
So yeah, no, I did that for a year and a half, and just kind of the same thing as the rest of my career, man. We ran out of money, and things weren't going where we needed them to be to keep going. And I actually remember, I'm sure a lot of people remember this. I went to Utah. Had a bunch of people help me go because we were out of money at that point. Had a bunch of people step up and give me a little bit of money. $100 here and there adds up, right? Paid for the trip. Struggled in qualifying, got up to second on the first lap and tossed it first lap of the race. And like standing there on the side of the track going like, man, just let 30 people down, And on the way home from that trip, I signed up to go to the community college back in Chattanooga. I was actually going to go be for electrical engineering was my original plan. I got 2 weeks into it and changed my major to nuclear power engineering. And just no idea why. I've always been a nerd when it comes to science and physics and so, man, I love it. Absolutely intrigued with it. And I started watching some YouTube videos about how nuclear power works. And I was actually on the way to Utah. I was watching a video, and my dad was like, "Do you understand that?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." He was like, "You should look into that." So, okay. So Utah happened, and I realized, like, hey, kind of getting old to go racing, whenever I don't have the money to go do it,
Maybe have a backup plan where you're getting some money and get to do it on the side.
Right. That was kind of the thing, yeah. So I ended up going to, I just quit racing again at the end of that year, went to school. Got a degree for nuclear power.
I actually remember your Facebook post talking about you graduating.
Yeah, so
I recall that vividly.
The last race I did, the last MotoAmerica race I did a final. I don't remember. I don't think it was a final. It couldn't have been a final, but it was like midterm or something. I think it was a midterm. Did a midterm for like, I don't remember, like plant components or something like that. In the morning, left the school, went straight to barber so I could make qualifying that afternoon. Yeah. So like that's how it overlapped, right? But like I quit racing, got a job with Walker, the German company. They make like refined silicone products.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a chemical operator. Fell in love with that job. Still, like, there's a small part of me at times that misses part of it.
But it's not your passion.
It's not my passion. Yeah. I had an opportunity to move to Florida to work with NextEra, which is the biggest utility company in the country.
Yep.
And for me, that was a big deal, right? So I moved down there with the plan of, let's do this for a couple of years until I can transfer to the nuclear plant. And the position that I took over, the guy that was working it before me, that's what he did. He transferred straight into like a reactor operator, which is what I wanted to be. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. And then I got down there and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I didn't like the people I was working with a whole lot. Didn't like the culture down there. And I told my wife multiple times, like, I don't want to raise our kids here.
Yeah.
It's just not.
What city was that near or in Florida then?
So we were living in Loxahatchee, which was roughly 30 miles directly west of West Palm Beach. So way
north of Okeechobee.
South of Okeechobee. North of Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, that is in the middle of nowhere out there.
Down there, yeah. Hated it, dude. Absolutely. I mean, like multiple times.
You're pretty much in the Everglades at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was 15 minutes from the Everglades. Yep.
That makes sense why you know that track that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Moto Bros. It's a good place.
Yeah.
I might go down this winter if you want to go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, so that obviously led you into returning back home and coming to Southern Power Sports?
I went back to my dad's first.
Okay.
I worked there for about a year and a half or so. Well, not quite a year and a half. So I was trying to get on with another dealership. I'm not going to name any names, but Parker still worked at that other dealership.
I know which one that is. Yeah. So yeah, I won't
I got him up here to go to that dealership.
Oh yeah.
And then, stuff didn't work out real well, and he decided to go across the street. Actually, I decided to go because we're across the street from that other dealership.
Oh, I didn't realize they were that close.
Yeah, awkward. I'd actually made the decision to just go in head first and go for Southern Honda, and then he was like, "All right, I'm going to do it too."
Yeah, because he'd been at the other place for a while.
Almost a year. Yeah. But when he turned his 2-week notice in, it was kind of he got chased out of the building kind of thing. So he actually ended up starting at Southern Honda a week before me. But we started almost the exact same time.
At the same time?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and I've known Parker for a while, and I was kind of hoping that we could get him in with you too. But he's down at Barber trying to beat your times, which he won't do. So
I give him $20 if he could get to my 125 time.
Does he know that already?
He does now.
Okay. I could have texted him that earlier when we sent him that picture. So what was some of the stuff that you maybe wanted to drop that was coming about with that? You want to lay that down with what's coming about with Southern Power Sports? So I honestly, before we got into that, I wanted to touch on what we talked about with the family atmosphere and all that cool stuff. But luckily, your buddy Big Ham called in earlier and touched on that, so we can skip all that and go right to the big news.
Dude, I will say this: the job I had in Florida, man. If I'd have stuck it out for another 6 months or a year, I would have got into $250,000 a year with a pension, like stupid money, stupid benefits. Great job. I am so much happier where I'm at now.
Yeah.
100%. Like, the money's there. The benefits are not the same benefits, but there's some benefits to being there, you know? Like we talked about earlier about just, you know, you want to take a break, go right around the parking lot for a second, you know?
As long as business is getting handled, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can relate to that too, because I was very unhappy in the field I was at and took an at-home position, took a big old pay cut.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm honestly, the hourly breakdown from the driving to the south side of Atlanta and driving back and never taking a lunch, being unhappy, actually went up like $4 an hour. If you just factor in the time that I'm working compared to what it was before. But of course, that's not the bottom end dollar, but it doesn't matter because you're happier.
Right.
You know?
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And that was I feel like part of me wanting to start this too is because I missed the motorcycle industry.
Yeah.
Because I was in it my whole life up until I was 26.
Yeah.
And then got out of it.
Dude,
I've been out of it for 13 years.
I've looked
but I
for
miss it.
every avenue out of this world that I can find, and I get sucked back into it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
You can't.
Same thing with racing.
No.
How many people do you know that get out of racing and get back into it within less than 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like crack.
It's worse.
Yeah.
It costs more.
Yeah. Well, you get to keep your teeth in most cases.
I still got all mine, so
I got all mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost lost them when I got shooed. So all right. So drop some bomb on us. What we got cooking? What's in the works?
I'm not 1,000% positive yet. The last bit of information I got is that. So, and I know a lot of people will know this, but we sponsored Hayden Gillum this year. We gave him a bunch of stuff, really tried to help out his program as much as we could. And that was kind of a big thing for us, too, because he won the championship, right? That was pretty good. That was the
and let people know who might not know who he is, what series, what he did.
Oh, yeah,
so
Hayden Gillum. He won the Stock 1000 championship this year for the second year in a row. But this year he did it on a Honda. And that was the first.
That's MotoAmerica.
Yeah.
Right?
MotoAmerica, yep. He did it on the Fireblade. That's the first road racing, like AMA road racing championship that Honda has had in a long time, right? So that
10 years? More?
I think. I might be wrong. Honda made a post on it. It's been long enough that they made a post on it or someone did. I don't know, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, he really stood out, you know? So right now, the best of my knowledge, I think the plan is to go get an HRC CBR 600 and go do the first 4 rounds of the Super Sport season next year
for MotoAmerica.
In MotoAmerica,
yeah,
right.
So what are the first 4 rounds with that? Like, where are they going to be at? Do you know the dates?
No, I know the first 2 is Road Atlanta and Barber, though.
Okay.
So I mean, how much better does it get?
And that's usually it's pretty soon, or is that spring?
Spring.
Okay, springtime. Yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember if they start in the fall and.
Or they do Daytona in March, but that doesn't count towards the points. We're not going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no Daytona.
No Daytona for me.
And that's the weekend.
Southern Honda will be there with Hayden.
Okay.
As far as I know.
So essentially, he'll still be repeating the season on the 1000 for Southern Power Sports?
I don't want to get into what Hayden's doing.
Okay.
I think he might have something big that he's working up as well.
Okay.
He'll be on a Honda, though.
That's going to be interesting to see then. Wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, as far as I know, we're our plan right now. And then the thing is, you know, it started out first time I got the information, it was, let's go do the first 2 rounds. So, okay, that's a start. That's good. Let's go do it, you know? And then it was, I think we can do 4. Okay.
How many total is for the series?
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
So the plan is to kick ass, learn from your mistakes.
My plan
hold your temper.
Is to try to get ready now.
Yeah.
You know? And I've kind of joked around a little bit. Said, okay, well, and not saying that I could, but like, look at who was leading the championship this year. You got Matthew Schultz, who I never personally raced with, right? And then you got PJ Jacobson, who I have a long history of racing with, you know? I'm not saying that I'm better than PJ or Matt, but I have the confidence that I could go with them at the worst, you know? I think that's something that I've kind of gotten more as I gotten older, was the confidence. Like, hey, I can go do this, you know? And the 600, I've always felt like, and we talked about 2011, I felt like I finally kind of found that speed. I always felt like I had a little bit of unfinished business there. You know, I always felt like I could go do it on a super sport bike. So let's go see if we can. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, Hayden got a lot of attention this year doing what he did on a Honda. I'd love to be the dude to show up and do it on a Honda.
Because he was in the 1,000.
Right.
So for you to do it in the 600.
Nobody's done it on a 600. If we do it, we're going to get a Euro spec bike. It won't even be the bike you can buy here.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I want to go do it right.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
And there was something else that I wanted to touch on that too. Oh, God, what was it? It'll probably come to me in like 5-10 minutes or so. By the way, just the fact that you have that possibility just shows the backing that shop is going to provide.
Absolutely. It means a lot to me too. I mean, I told them straight up, I haven't raced in 6 years. You know, to still have that kind of support behind me, especially from these guys. They don't know me. You know, I've worked there for a few months. We've become good buddies. You know, I've got to know them pretty well, but they don't know me at that level, right? They don't know my racing background very well. It's like the fact that they want to support me and they believe in me that much, it means a lot to me.
So where do you think, what's your goal for the year? Or not, what's your goal for the first 4 rounds? Let's put that in the universe so that you have to commit to it.
My goal for the first 4 rounds is to do well enough that I can get them to do the next 6.
Well, what's that number?
I don't know yet.
10?
I've asked them straight up, just joking around a little bit, you know, like, hey, like, what are you going to do if I'm leading the points 4 rounds in? Are we just not going to go to the 5th one?
Oh, nice.
Well, I don't know. You know? Give me 4 rounds. That gives me time to kind of do something and see. You know, if I'm not doing anything, then let's go back to the drawing board. We'll come back next year.
So so obviously the first 2 you said Road Atlanta and Barber.
Mm-hmm.
You know those very well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not sure what the next 2 rounds are going to be?
I believe
I can look them up.
We can look it up. I just off the top of my head, I want to say Road America and VIR, possibly.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure VIR is one of them at least.
So you know so it's Road Atlanta, Barber, Road America, Ridge Motorsports. That's Washington. That's a hike.
Right. Yeah, we were going to skip that one.
Yeah, and then Laguna Seca.
Or maybe it was just the first 4 East Coast that I was thinking of.
Bernard, Minnesota. Pittsburgh.
Oh, that would be this year's.
Oh, shit.
They're not going to Brainerd.
23.
Yeah, they're not going to Brainerd next year.
Son of a bitch. The MotoAmerica schedule 24. And then 23 comes back up when I hit 24 again. Here it is. Here's the 24 schedule. All right.
25.
Son of a bitch.
We'll get there.
Yep. Well, Road Racing World announced it. Let's see what we got here. All right, 25, finally. It actually starts at Barber.
Yeah.
Then it goes to Road Atlanta.
Yep.
Then Road America.
Yep.
Then Ridge to Washington. WeatherTech. That's
Laguna,
yeah. VIR is
okay,
the 6th round.
Yeah.
Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Circuit of Americas. New Jersey Motorsports. So, New Jersey has a nickname to it, right? Or some acronym, right? Or no?
I don't know. It's a special place to me. I'm undefeated there. I'm undefeated there. I've only done 3 races there, but I'm undefeated.
Nice. So obviously you know my shenanigans, and my buddies and I love to run around in jean Speedos and have a good time at the races.
Absolutely.
At what point do you work into the contract that I get to be your umbrella girl for one of these races? Is it round 1? I will go to April 4th. It is on paper.
Out at Road Atlanta, doesn't it?
No, Barber.
Barber, then
April 4th at Barber.
Well,
I am your umbrella girl.
Deal.
And if anybody comes up and is like fighting me with this, with AMA or MotoAmerica, I'm just going to pull like, what kind of card can I pull to just like help me.
You're
not
just
get
a middle-aged white man. Do you have cards?
I'll identify as whatever I need to identify as to make sure that I get this. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out in case anybody at Southern Power Sports listens to this, that they know that that's going to happen and there's nothing they can do to stop that.
I'll bring the pictures up next sales meeting.
The ones I texted you earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't delete those already?
Oh, no, dude. That's wallpaper material.
All right. What's some of the other stuff that we wanted to touch on? Did you want to get into events surrounding the 2010 Indy wildcard issues with somebody? Did you want to hit on that one? People came for some good stories.
We can clear the air if you want.
Clear the air.
Clear the air. So just a small disclaimer. I have no ill will towards Veloce Racing at this point, man. They did a lot for me in 08 and leading up to that in 10. All those 125 track records we talked about, they came on the Veloce Aprilia 125. So it's almost not. That's why I said most of them will never be broken, because the Aprilia is seconds faster than anything anyone's actually racing. Right?
Really? So honestly, that $20 bet with Parker's kind of unfair.
No. I went 3 seconds faster than on 600, so.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, he should.
He can do that.
Yeah,
it's a 125, dude. Yeah, come on.
Okay. All right.
No, I mean, going into the weekend, everything felt great. Everything was normal. Went into the very first practice session and the bike wouldn't run. I think it was it was jetted way too rich, like to the point where it wouldn't hardly run. It was crackling, cutting in and out. I came in after the first lap. I was like, hey, this isn't right. They're like, no, I'll just go out and ride it. It'll get better. And 2 or 3 laps later, going into, I don't know what turn it would be, but fast left-hand kink that you're going into like 4th, 5th gear on a 125, over 100 mile an hour. It cut out, came back in, and when it came back in, stepped out, launched me.
No.
Yep. Got taken to the medical tent. They thought I broke my leg when I was at the medical tent. I actually met Marco Simoncelli in the medical tent, and met another guy. I can't remember his name. But they transferred me to the hospital, all this stuff, put me on a bunch of good feel good stuff, make the leg not hurt. I met Jay Leno later that day.
Oh, no
I was
shit.
still on pain medicine. Had no idea who I was talking to.
You know, it's funny. My last guest built a bike for Jay Leno.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
nice.
so he was talking about him.
Yeah, what I remember, he was a cool guy. But yeah. But then, like, I get back to the track, and I start texting. I don't even want to get into any names, really, but I started texting, head guy over at Veloce. I was like, hey, man, what's the plan? I'm ready to go. My leg hurts, but let's do this thing. He was like, nope, we're done. You're not racing this weekend. We found a backup rider, which they couldn't even do. They got told by Dorna and FIM, you can't just bring in a backup rider halfway through the weekend. That's not how that works. But, like, the fact that they had a backup rider that came all the way across the country and was waiting for me to mess up so he could take over kind of rubbed me wrong. The fact that they pulled the plug after first practice session because of a mechanical mistake that they made, that kind of rubbed me wrong. But then, like, I just kind of felt like it made me have a bad look. Like, why did you go out first practice session, crash, and ruin the weekend? Like, that wasn't on me. If anything, that's a 50-50 deal, right?
Yeah.
And
because you could have, you did detect and you made a comment, but you could have still detected that something's wrong. Yeah. And that's part of the racecraft you were talking about too, where you should have, instead of going, hey, I'm big dick swinger and I can make this work, done it the other way. So I get where you're kind of going.
Well, it was weird because when we went in 08, the bike ran perfect, man. And they told me going into the weekend, this bike's going to be 2 or 3 seconds off the factory bikes. It's not a factory bike. Mm-hmm. It was a MotoGP bike from 7-8 years earlier, something like that, right? So it was a good bike, but it was a little outdated. But I don't know. It just, everything meshed really well in 08. Went back in 10, I was excited, and then it just kind of
just fell apart.
Yeah, middle of the weekend kind of thing. Real weird.
That is kind of weird. But honestly, I mean, I've heard so many stories and listened to so many pods and all this other stuff it is bizarre how that's, in a lot of weird ways, the norm for a lot of teams and a lot of races and things like that.
Both times I got fired was in the middle of a race weekend.
Yeah.
Wait till Monday.
Is that kind of like the cutting somebody off on Friday?
I don't know.
At the end of the week kind of thing? Just like rip the Band-Aid?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, all right. One of the last things, and you said maybe don't get you on this path, but we're done with motorcycle stuff for the most part.
Okay.
Unless you have another story or something to add on to any of the stuff that you wanted to hit on. Nothing?
I could go all night, man.
So let's talk about a book.
Oh, here we go.
All right. So
if Parker's listening, he's laughing already.
All right. So I don't put this out there too much. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there because I told you about my experience this past weekend. So episode 3, when Opie Kaler was on, which you brought up your story, and he thought that was pretty funny that he finally recognized you with that. So Kelly Blotz with One Fast Move. He is the writer and director of that movie. And one of the things that I haven't put out there yet, and I was saving this in case he and I got to have a pod together, is I was going to release this out there then. But we tried to set one up at Barbara and didn't work out. But what led me into doing this show is I started writing a motocross movie script because when my son was born, I loved The Dirt Bike Kid. You remember that?
First book I ever read.
Really?
In elementary school, yeah.
So I loved that movie as a kid so much, for my parents would have to rent it weekly from the VHS store.
Matt Christopher, I think was his name.
The same kid from Christopher's Christmas Story played it.
Yep.
So I thought it'd be cool, because I know a little bit of editing and camera stuff and blah, 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 to redo a movie with him when he's older. And I had this long-ass drive to the other side of Atlanta to where mine would wander as I'm sitting in traffic and dealing with stuff. So as I then got introduced to the Whiskey Throttle show and was listening to it, Regis Harrington, who runs Covert Camera, was doing a show with Dave Castillo on that. And they had talked about how come nobody can write a good motocross movie. And at that point, I literally came home to my wife and I told her about the experience. And I said, I have this idea for a movie. Anything I put my mind to, I'm not amazing. I'm a B+. I said, I'm going to write this movie and do it. And she's just kind of like, she wasn't dissing me, but she was kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, go for it kind of thing. She honestly probably didn't believe I would get past like 10 pages.
Yeah.
So I get... And to backtrack a little bit, most movie scripts are about 120 pages and 25,000 words. So I get about 16,000 words into this script, and I go, this can be better.
Yeah.
Read like 4 or 5 books on the craft of doing it, scrapped the script, started from the beginning, plotted the whole thing like a professional should do, and make sure all the acts and the plots and the beats and everything lines up right. And within a year, I completed it. And actually, a few months before completing it, funny enough, I got to hang out with Regis at Day in the Dirt in Florida. I kind of told him, like, hey, you inspired me to write this movie. I'm almost done with it. And we chatted for a while, and it was really, really cool. So during the process of writing that movie, I had the idea for this show. But I was like, don't go in the weeds of this other thing. Finish this one thing and get into that when you're done.
Yeah.
And then I finished it. Then 2 years later, got hurt. And that's what led into starting the show. So the funny thing with starting the show is the fact that within a few episodes, I have Opie on. I have Kelly Blotz on with a movie that they work together with. I now have a contact with a guy who I can text and I can talk with. And I mean, I'll call him a pal kind of thing because we've hung out this past weekend. The last guest that was on the show, Jeff Pology, buddies with Tim Ferry and Regis's wife. I went to a dinner the next Saturday with Tim Ferry and Regis's wife, and I literally sat down at a table and got to go, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm sitting here because of you and your husband. And she's like, what? So I kind of just quickly told her the thing. But to cut a little bit quicker to this past weekend, I went and printed out my script and gave it to Kelly and was like, hey, dude, this is actually my movie. I really don't think anything ever will come with it. But you miss all the shots that you don't take.
Right.
So I literally handed him that. And it was just really cool. I gave him a little bit of the spiel like I just did right here. And he was blown away because the fact that he said most people have an idea and not do anything with it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I think that's really cool because we got to talking about this stuff a few months back about the movie script and the writing and those kind of things. And you let me know that you had a book to it too. So let's talk about it a little bit.
So actually, whenever I was going to Europe, I was 14, 15. That's when I kind of got into reading. But I was writing articles for Road Racing World during that time, and that triggered a love for writing. When I got out of racing, I kind of lost the ability to do it. You know, I've always been a motorcycle guy. That's all I've ever wrote about. That's all I know how to write about. But I've always had a dream of wanting to, like, I want to write a novel. I want to come up with my own story that nobody else has ever told and do it my own way and, like, come up with my own character. I just think it'd be a lot of fun, you know? A lot of creating involved. And I tried multiple times to come up with ideas and to write something out. And I'd get, 2 or 3 loose chapters in and be like, this shit, I don't like it, And then, like, over probably the course of 2 or 3 years, I started developing an idea. And then, like, I would try to write something, like, that's not it. And a couple months later, I'd come up with another idea and be like, okay, but we can take this idea and change it a little bit this way and be like, let's try it again. And I mean, I've probably wrote the first 5 chapters of this book 10 times.
No way.
And before I finally got to where I was like, okay, this is what it's got to be.
Something clicks, right?
Yeah. And the big thing with me is that I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't have a plot. Like I had a lot of little stuff that I wanted to be in there, but I was like, how do I put all that together?
That's
right?
exactly what happened to me when I got that far into it, and then I learned about the path of plotting it and those other things. Yeah. It so really it just put you on a path that you can follow and make sure you're hitting all the notes to it. Yeah.
Well, like big thing for me was I mentioned being really into science and physics and stuff like that. I went into a deep dive with space and like alternate universes and alternate timelines and like.
Now, was this before all the multiverse stuff that would happen going with those things too? That you had those ideas? Yeah. Because I didn't want people to think that, he's just stealing from that kind of idea.
Yeah, no. But I don't know if I want to get too deep into what the book's about.
I know, but still, wild. I just wanted to touch on it a little bit, and if you wanted to summarize it a little bit,
I could do a quick synopsis of it.
Go for it, but I mainly wanted to hit on the point that if it comes out later, we were putting it out into the universe.
More breaking news on Campfire.
Yeah.
That's it. I see what you're doing here. Get the foot in early. I like it. Yeah.
Same thing I was doing with telling my whole thing, mainly because the fact that I just wanted to brag that I had fucking dinner with Tim Fair, who was like a high school.
Caleb Russell just found out about a 350.
He didn't even know he was going to That's good.
Oh.
All right. So give a quick synopsis.
Okay. So basically civilization living out on a mega structure in space. Okay. First chapter, guy's going to his best friend's funeral. He goes through the whole process, and I got like a whole thing written out about how they would do a funeral on a space structure out in the middle of nowhere, where they like put him in this casket and shoot him out into space. You can't bury him. No, everything there's made of metal and glass, right? So, and then dude walks out of the funeral home and gets a text from his friend that they just had the funeral from, saying, "Meet me here." So, okay, he goes over to this place, meets him. Dude hands him a box. Guy opens the box, starts looking in it, pulls something out, is looking at all that, looks up, his buddy's gone. And he starts messing with this thing, it pops open, pulls a card out, it's got an address on it. Then goes to the address. On the address, on the card, it's got a logo. He looks down on the sidewalk, seems same logo. Walks into the building, has to go through a whole series of crazy tests, like dropping down through different floors, doing this, like, there's a slot machine involved at one point, like just random stuff, right? And then finally he gets into this room where his buddy and a bunch of other people are standing there kind of hanging around, waiting around, They tell him that, like, essentially the civilization's been on this structure for, like, last 100-something years or whatever for their timeline. They were supposed to go back to their planet at a certain time, but their captain's gone missing. They can't find him. They have no idea what's happened to him. They found out that captain is on a planet that, oh man, it gets deep. It's hard to explain, really.
Well, yeah, you can't give away all of it. But...
well, basically, this dude is on this planet, but there's, 8 billion people on this planet, right? And they find out that every single living person on that planet is the same person reincarnating, and every time he reincarnates, He goes back into the same world, same life with all those other people. All those other people around him are just lives that he's lived in the past. He's going back through and living it through the lens of somebody else, right? So and like my idea was like every person that you treat like shit, everyone you yell at, you don't know, stranger, whatever, somebody cuts you off, you're sitting there yelling at them. The idea is like, what if that was you, right?
Okay.
And that's kind of what you're going, the whole like psychological thing of it, where like this guy's living this life having no idea that these people that he's in love with, the people that he hates, the people that he sees walking down the street and never meets were actually lives that he lived at some point, right? But the whole idea is that he's actually stuck in a prison because somebody else has put him there. And their whole goal is to go back and find the version of him that is the live version right then, and not the NPC.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. They got to find that version of him and say, "Hey, we need you to come with us," kind of thing. We need to get you out of here, help you escape. And that's what I told you earlier. They go back to 3 different times, right? You got one that's going to go to the future, one that goes to 1985, and one goes back to ancient times.
Yeah.
So that I can kind of tell the story of different people's lives through different time zones. And like, I don't know, man.
And what was really interesting with the fact, because I started getting into the weeds a little bit with mine, and I told you like what I used to write mine was real stories that have happened in life.
Yeah.
And you went into the rabbit hole of like, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you want, because that's what really I think will connect a lot, like the truth will connect a lot of people.
There's no better storyteller than the universe.
Yeah.
The stuff you can't come up with is the stuff that's happening around you every day.
I remember somebody a long time ago, I think it was Zach Thurston's dad, Van, at like a regional or area in Virginia, and this stuck with me. It was like, there's a story that's too crazy to be true, it is 100% to be true. You know what I mean?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's something that you're just like, there's no way that happened. It 100% happened, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for you to kind of get that. I wanted to honestly put it out there because it was honestly like when I told you
on the spot now. I have to do it.
You have to do it. But like I was kind of hemming and hawing about finishing mine because I was a little bit worried about it, right? And when I talked with Regis, and I was probably like more than 3/4 of the way through it, I was like, I told him about it. I got to finish this now,
right?
Kind of thing. And it forced me to finish it.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in bed like until 11:30 at night, just hammering away on my keyboard. My wife's like, "Are you writing a fucking novel?" That was one of the things I wanted to hit on. It's not like some short script.
No.
So, like I said, 120 pages, 25,000 words.
Yeah.
Mine's 176 pages and 38,000 words.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, you sent it to me. There's a reason I haven't read it all yet. Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
But no, I just, like I said, I kind of wanted to just point this out there because if it does somehow happen, I want to pull this clip.
Yeah,
absolutely. And same thing when you finish that book. We're gonna pull this clip.
Yeah.
And we're gonna sit around a campfire. We're gonna cuddle up some s'mores. And we're gonna read it together, end to end. Maybe not. That sounds a little gay.
It's gonna take a week.
But no, man. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to, getting to do some more rides and races with you. Like I said, this is bizarre because, like I said, we've never even got to hang out really until tonight. But there's so many like weird connections that I can tell why we've been cool at a distance.
100%.
So. But all right. Well, what else do we want to touch on before we end this show? I can't think of anything else.
I got one thing.
Hit it.
If you guys want to see me going racing next year, I need to start moving some units. We got Gold Wings on sale. We got Pioneers on sale. Come see me.
Hit them up.
Come see me. Southern Honda Power Sports. What's this? Is the camera?
Yeah, here. I'll put it on that for you.
Can they see it? Right there. Southern Honda Power Sports. Ask for Kris. Got deals on everything.
Not Big Ham.
Here's the thing, though. Like, there's a reason that we're the biggest Honda dealership in the world. We have 0 dealer fees. No dock prep setup. Nothing. Just MSRP plus tax. We got stuff on sale right now. We can get you out the door for less than MSRP.
Cool.
You want a Honda, come see me. I want to go race next year.
There's nothing wrong with a shameless plug.
Need tire money.
In fact, you know what I just remembered from a shameless plug? Hold on. Wait.
These stories are brought to you by On Road Riders. Get on the road safely with On-Road Riders. They offer Georgia-certified training through the Motorcycle Safety Foundation Basic Rider Course on both 2-wheel and 3-wheel motorcycles, enabling you to obtain your motorcycle license hassle-free. Their mission is to instill essential skills for safe motorcycle operation and save lives. You'll learn from certified coaches covering everything from clutch friction zone techniques to obstacle avoidance. They currently have 2 convenient locations, Mountain Motorsports in Conyers and Georgia's Best Fireworks in Milledgeville. At just 16 years old, with parental consent, you can enroll and upon a successful completion, receive a waiver for your Georgia DDS motorcycle license. Visit onroadriders.com to start riding safely today.
Almost dropped the ball on that one and forgot to play one of my sponsor bits. So I greatly appreciate everybody listening or watching. Tune in 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now is on Halloween, so I'm going to try to do a show either the day before or the day after, or pre-record one this weekend at a race. And but no, thank you, Kris, for coming in. It was great to hang out with you, man, and hear your story. And we're going to have you in soon with Will or with some other people after we kidnap some people. And
that would be a good one.
I definitely.
That guy's got some stories.
Come after round 4 or whatever works out next season. We're going to get you in again too, and get to hear some cool tales from that. So
heck yeah.
But again, thanks for watching and listening. Oh, please, I am out of stories. If you have a cool motorcycle story or video, send it in 844-789-2367. Anytime, day or night, leave a message. It gives you entries into a dirt bike. You will earn the same entries that this guy got today for coming in studio. I know he doesn't want you to do it because he wants more entries for himself. He's selfish. Don't let that happen, people. All right, we're going to cut it off. We're going to let you listen to my kid's first time riding a dirt bike on a real track at Fannin County.
Nice.
I recorded this on Cut Cane Road as we were coming out because he was all hyped up about riding his first dirt bike.
That's what Fannin County gets you.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to ride with you a few weeks ago, and you're like, I fucking broke my collarbone.
Oh, I was hurt.
All right. Ta-ta.
Parts in the track.
Like when I fell, like my rear tire fell in it, and then my whole bike.
So that's not like deep parts that they put in there on purpose. So those are called ruts, and ruts are made from other bikes riding them. So that's why they're like, for your bike, it was very difficult to do that because you have small wheels. So that's why I was trying to get you to not go into those deep ruts. But you know, I'm recording right now, so why don't you tell me about the first real dirt bike track you rode on your dirt bike? Like right now, B, tell me about it.
What?
Today, tell me about, right, you were just telling me about how much you loved it. Tell me about it.
I like the dirt bikes that I just rode.
What did you like about it?
I like the whole thing.
Whole thing? Was it real fun to go up the big jumps?
Yeah. And even though I crashed, the dirt was soft.
Yeah. How many times do you think you crashed?
7.
I think that's right. I think you did crash about 7 times. And every time you got up, and you were like, let's keep going, until I could tell you got tired there a little bit.
And I crashed on the third ride, but I waited for a little bit, and then I kept going.
What was the hardest crash you had?
On the third.
Yeah? Cool. All right. Great story, B.
You wanna talk about a leaf thing? I'm not caught shorted in the darkness. With cups and rolling dice, we get no fucks now, who think twice, yeah. And when this whole takes on the world, felt like it was trying to shake us. Held on to what we knew. It could try, but it never break us. It could try, but it never break us. Talk about us coming up, like we can't function on this level. You laugh at who we are, you're the joke that's taken too far. So let's come crashing over, we won't let them take us down. We just keep getting closer, getting used to things.